What's up? What's up, you guys? Rebecca here for another day where we try to do our best to go through the day. Okay, welcome. Today we don't really have anything planned, and that's kind of why we're here. We're trying to figure out what to do. What are we gonna do? Well, I don't know what to do. What are we gonna do? We're gonna do that for 4 hours. See, we're already having fun. We're already having fun, you guys. We're already having fun. Okay, so you need to snap yourself together. Okay, just snap yourself together. Okay. Nobody remembers that. Maybe one day. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna play video games? Are we gonna write? Are we gonna do everything? We're just gonna do everything, aren't we? I kinda wanna play Mario. Like, you guys wanna play Mario? I don't know. You guys wanna play Mario 64? I don't know. We can play Mega Man. You wanna play Rockman and Forte? Mega Man and Bass? You wanna play Mega Man? I don't know what you want to play. What are we gonna play? I don't know. It's Saturday. Shouldn't we be watching cartoons? Why watch cartoons when you got Rebecca Lauren? Okay, she's a cartoon and a half. It does not match the music at all. You guys, I am just crazy. Okay, like trying to make some coffee. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, coffee time. Okay, guys, I'm serious. Okay, we need to figure out what to do. What are we gonna do today? I want to write some stuff, but I also don't really feel like it. But we're gonna do it anyway. Okay, you know why? Because life is pain. Okay, and you have to show up and do the work. Okay, doesn't matter if you fuck inspiration. Pardon my language. I try to limit the f-bombs. Okay. You gotta show up anyway, even when you don't want to do it, you know, especially when it comes to like art. Everyone thinks art is this like huge thing where you're like, oh, I'm inspired. Oh, the sunset is so beautiful. No, that's not how art works. Art is blood, sweat, and tears. You gotta show up and you gotta like punch the canvas. You gotta say, hey, you. Do what I want. And, you know, you just basically, actually, mostly it's not even that. It's actually just showing up and doing the practice, and just like, it's really mundane. Art is actually really boring, you guys. I mean, I hate to break it to you. Art is actually really boring. Most people see, you see the end product, right? Like, you see somebody painting or writing a book or making a movie or whatever the art is, music, whatever. You see the end product and you're like, oh, that's so beautiful, it's artistic. Oh, but like, what you don't see is the person waking up and like having some coffee. Like that's boring. Okay, that's what people don't see. They just see art as like, oh, I'm gonna wear a beret, and oh, do you see the motif? Oh, you see that I put the motif over there. The motif. Yeah, you say words like motif. That's what art is. Yeah, sure, buddy. Yeah, mostly art is just like somebody showing up and like just sitting down and grinding out the practice because they need to practice. Like, if they're an artist, they need to like practice drawing like a straight line, and they do that like 1,000 times. That's not inspiration, okay? That's somebody sitting down drawing a line 1,000 times, okay? That's not like what people think of art, okay? People think of art, they're like, oh, it's sweeping landscapes and beautiful, and they're so artistic and inspired. I don't know what that voice is. It's like the sycophant. Sycophant. I think that's what it is. How do I even spell that? Jesus Christ. Sycophant. See, if you don't know how to spell something, oh, S-Y-C-O-P-H-A-N-T. Not what I thought. S-I-C-C-O-P-H-A-N-T. So I got the P-H-A-N-T right. It's just sycophant. Person who acts obsequiously towards someone important in order to gain advantage. Obsequiously? So that's not the word I meant. I think I meant pedantic. But what's obsequiously? Obedient or attentive to an exclusive or servile. Okay, so it's like, oh, let me get this chair for you. Do you want your coffee? That's a sycophant. Now, what's a pissant? Now, it's P-U-I-S-S-A-N-T. I'm pretty sure. Pissant. Yeah, I always thought that pissant was like literally like piss ant, and I think a lot of people do. But it's like pissant is having a great power or influence. That's really fucking weird. That's what it means. It sounds like a piss ant. Piss ant.
Puissant.
Oh, puissant? Then what's a pissant? Oh, pissant is really a word. It's a vulgar slang, and an insignificant or contemptible person or thing.
Pissant.
So I'm right. So puissant is a different word. I thought that was the same word, you guys.
Puissant.
Oh, it's archaic.
Puissant.
Puissant? It's an archaic word. He would become a puissant man.
Puissant.
I don't think it's used anymore. I mean, I've seen it. I don't think you should use it anymore. Stupid.
Puissant.
Because it just sounds like pissant.
Pissant.
It's also a type of ant? A pissant, also seen as pissant or pissant, like with a hyphen, refers to a specific type of ant. The word is also used as a pejorative noun or adjective indicating insignificance. It's actually an ant. It's actually an ant. There's an ant that's actually called a pissant. Damn, what a life. Jeez. I mean, imagine that. Imagine that. Okay, so what are we doing? I have no idea what I'm doing, you guys. What should I do today? Random stream generator. Wait. Random activity generator. Okay, let's see. This is like an academic article. A random activity generator, it's an abstract. Exact and heuristic procedures are often developed to obtain optimal and near optimal solutions to decision problems, modeling and activity networks. Testing the accuracy and efficiency of these procedures requires the use of activity networks with various sizes, structures, and parameters. The size of the network is determined by its number of nodes and arcs, where the structure is chosen from the set of all structures for the specified network size. The network parameters depend on the nature of the decision problem. This is not what I wanted. Let's see. Random kid activity generator, weekend anime? Why? I have so many questions. Why is it called weekend anime? Try doing a new science experiment. Enjoy a picnic. Try doing a new science. Why is it telling me that twice? It really wants me to do a science experiment. Make some art. Play a card game. Take an online field trip. Watch a movie together with someone remotely. Make a new video pen pal. Make some art. That's a really weird thing to do for kids. That's a really fucking weird suggestion. Make a new video pen pal? Are you serious? Are you serious? They have a random kid activities for kids, and one of them is make a new video pen pal? What the hell? I mean, I'm pretty sure they suggest a site that's for kids or whatever, but still, it's really freaking weird. It's really freaking weird. Yeah, I'm so unmotivated today, but you know what? Even when you're unmotivated, you still show up and do the work. So we're gonna just start writing, okay? Because I could just start playing video games, and that would be perfectly justified. But I don't really feel like playing video games. In fact, it's harder for me to play video games than it is to sit here and write into a document. If I'm gonna be real. Like, what the heck? What the heck, okay? That's how it is, okay? I don't know. See, it's not an age thing. It's not an age thing, because there's people my age, and there's actually people like 10 to 20 years older than me who have an easier time playing video games than I do. Like, it's not an age thing. I don't know what it is. I just can't play video games anymore and enjoy it. I mean, I do sometimes play video games and enjoy it, okay? I'm not gonna lie, okay? But, like, if push comes to shove, or, you know, like, I'll play video games. But if I'm, like, sitting here and I'm saying, hey, what do I want to do? I don't really feel like playing video games. It's weird. So I don't have a video game addiction. It's weird. I think we all have like some kind of addiction in some way. Like, obviously I'm addicted to trying to be popular on social media. That's a thing. Okay, parasocial addiction. Okay, there's that. I have a parasocial addiction where I feel like I'm somehow part of all the streamers. Hey, I mean, I gotta play pretend, okay? You gotta fake it till you make it. Okay, one day I'm gonna be super famous and people are gonna be like sycophants. I used the word. People are gonna be sycophants. I'll be like, hey, Rebecca, you wanna do a collab? And I'm like, yeah. Except, you know, I'm not gonna be an asshole about it. I'm not gonna be like, hey, where were you when I was small? And like, no, I'm only like that to the people who were like that before I started streaming. Like, the people who were like kicking me to the curb and hurting me and like lecturing me all the time and saying I will never make anything out of my life that's meaningful. I just have to give up and just go to work, which I can't do anyway. But this is like, see, this is what it's like. It's like me literally sitting here. This is why I can't have a job, you guys. Like, I'm just sitting here like, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to do. I'm trying to figure it out, okay? This is why I need to figure it out, because I need to be able to have a buffer. This is why streaming is super low, super low commitment. Super low commitment. Because obviously I don't have to stream, and if I show up to stream, I'm not really under any obligations. If I was, that would be a good thing, because that would mean I have contracts. But I don't, so I'm literally just sitting here and streaming, and there's really no reason to be streaming, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. You know, there is a reason to stream, and there's a reason why I hit that start streaming button, okay? Instead of just staying in bed. There's a reason why I got up to my chair and sat down instead of just going to bed. Okay, like I usually do. And you know, I got up and I said, this is the time that I have for streaming. And I show up even if I don't know what I'm gonna do. So that's important. I'm doing that. That's a thing that I wasn't really doing for the longest time. And I need to figure out what I'm gonna do, of course, but now that we're here, that almost doesn't even matter. We're already doing something. Like, I'm here and I'm talking to you guys, there's music playing, like, let's see, there's a Secret of Mana. I was like, is that Secret of Mana or Secret of Evermore? They're two different games. They're similar. I think they're made by the same people, I'm not sure. Seiken Densetsu 2. So Secret of Mana is actually the second game in the series. I don't know if you knew that. It was released under the name Final Fantasy Adventure on Game Boy, because they thought that it would be more marketable if they called it Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy was a pretty new game. And there was only one Final Fantasy game released at the time on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. Because America's stupid. They took forever to figure out the gaming industry, and I'm pretty sure they're still figuring it out. I mean, the whole pay-to-win model has been going on in, like, Korea and Japan and China forever, like, for so long. The whole, like, make a really flashy game and you have to buy tokens in order to get stuff in the game. Obviously, that makes for a terrible game, but people enjoy it. I mean, it's kind of like gambling, but for younger people, and even for older people. My dad plays a pay-to-win game. Kind of sad about it, but it makes him happy, I guess. I mean, I say I guess because I don't think it really makes him happy, but that's his own bullshit, okay? It's his own bullshit. It's not mine. I have to take care of myself, and what am I gonna do? I did something different than what I was planning on doing. Or no, I was planning to do this and I showed up. That's what I meant. Like, what I usually do is just lay in bed like, oh, I hate everything. No, that's not gonna do anything, okay? But, you know, maybe this isn't gonna do anything either. It most likely won't, because streaming is, like, useless for somebody as small as me. But I showed up and I'm doing the work, okay? And that's important. It's important. Even though, you know, obviously, objectively, it's stupid. Objectively, it's like, why are you streaming? That's stupid. You should make YouTube content. Like Devin Nash keeps telling me, okay? He keeps showing up to my house and saying, Rebecca! Rebecca! Duck, 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 duck. Why are you streaming, you idiot? like he literally shows up to my house and with a cup of coffee and says, Rebecca, get to work. You need to make a YouTube channel. He literally shows up to my house from Seattle. Okay, I lied. Okay, I'm making a joke. Jeez. Oh wait, is that a thing that people do normally? They just make jokes? What is this thing called a joke? I don't know what it is. And you think I'm joking, but I'm not. That's the funny part. That's the joke. Yeah, the things I think funny, people generally don't understand. It's really frustrating, okay? I mean, obviously some things, obviously, not everything, okay? Some things are just so based, you know? But it's really hard for me to make jokes because things that I think are funny, people are just like, huh? Or they're like, that's not funny. And it's frustrating because I'm like, well, I laughed. And they're like, yeah, you laughed, but it's not funny. I'm like, well, screw you, buddy. Jeez. I'm entertaining myself. It's got to count for something. I'm having my coffee. I'm going to get ready to write. We're getting ready, okay? I just woke up. You guys, this is normal. Usually you don't see this on people's streams. This is totally normal. But you don't notice me because I'm such a small streamer. And the thing is as I become a bigger streamer, you might stop seeing this stuff. No, that's not true. I'm always going to be like this, honestly. I don't care if I have 0 viewers or 10 million viewers. I'm freaking myself. I've lived as if I was 100% public, like since I was a child. I just thought everybody was watching me. Like, I've always been like that. I've practiced. Okay, this is why this is the perfect job for me, okay? You guys don't understand. If there's anybody who actually could be healthy doing this, it's me. You don't understand, okay? You think that I'm like exaggerating or that I don't know what I'm talking about. Just wait, okay? Just wait and find out, okay? Just wait and see. Wait and see, okay? It's obviously, you're not gonna believe me now because you don't even know who I am because you're not even watching. That's the thing. But you know, these future people who are gonna like see me when I start to, you know, gain some clout, you know, however I figure out how to do that. Like if I publish a book or something, if I actually get my ass to gear and actually start finishing a book. But you gotta start, like, you know, you gotta start with a document and writing a single scene. It might be like 300 words, okay? And then you write another 300 words, and then you write another 300 words, and that really starts to add up, because I mean, 3 sessions of writing, if you write 300 words a day, 3 days, that's almost 1,000 words. If a typical novel, depending on the genre, but my genre is like fantasy and sci-fi, but depending on, I guess, like if you want to say like a typical like kind of novel that a casual reader will pick up, I would say like 80,000 words. Okay, let's just say that 80,000 words to 100,000 words, and actually let's just round it up. Yeah, like 80,000 words. Let's just say like a typical novel is like 80,000 words. I would say 100,000, but yeah, 80,000 words. You know, that's obviously if you do every 3 days, that's 1,000 words. Well, that's 80 days. It's like almost 3 months. I mean, that's only like 3 months, less than 3 months. So if you write 300 words a day. Wait, no, that's not. Okay, every 3 days is 1,000 words, and multiply that by 80. Okay, 8 times 3. Okay, 240 days. Okay, that's like 9 months, I would say. That's like 9 months. Okay. It's like you're getting pregnant, okay? Like when you write a novel, you're basically getting pregnant. And obviously that doesn't, you know, that's just if you write 300 words a day, okay? That's not including like if you write maybe at like 8,000 words in a day or something. And also that's not including the fact that that's just the writing process, and that may or may not include the editing process. Either way, people usually say you should write 1 novel a year if you want to be like a successful author. Obviously, if you want to be a working author, you should be able to write a novel a month. If you want to pick like a really broad mass appeal kind of thing, like if you want to write like murder mysteries or like horror mysteries, or if you want to write like, you know, romance, which are really good genres, and I really feel like so many people will like dismiss certain genres, and it's like, you're a writer, you write everything. Okay, that's your job. Your job is to capture characters and write them in a story. Like, that's your job. Your job isn't, I mean, obviously I kind of gravitate towards fantasy and sci-fi, more fantasy than sci-fi. Like, fantasy doesn't just mean like swords and magic, swords and sorcery or whatever. Technically, like Marvel and DC are fantasy. like superhero stuff. Superhero is technically fantasy, although sometimes it crosses over into sci-fi. But if you really want to look at it, sci-fi is really just fantasy, because if you look at like technology is basically magic. Okay, so it's like if you write a sci-fi novel, it's like, you know, it's like fantasy, but for people who don't want to admit that it's fantasy. Like it's like people who say, oh, I read sci-fi, I'm a more mature reader. It's like, come on, dude. That's the same idea as like people who refuse to write romance or refuse to write, oh, I'm above writing that kind of novel. It's like, really? Are you above a paycheck? Jeez. I understand if like you don't really like writing it, but I mean, I think most of the time people haven't even written it. And they haven't even read it. If you haven't read a romance novel, I don't think you have any right to say that you have no right, that you don't like it. You just don't like the idea of it. And usually that's probably because of like, you see the cover and it's just like some really like masculine man with buff chest with long flowing locks with his shirt ripped off. And it's like, well, that sounds hot, okay? Like, why don't you read it? But besides that, if you don't think it's hot, well, that's just a picture, okay? Why are you judging things before you even try it? Put a cover on it if you don't want to see the buff guy. I don't know why you wouldn't. It seems like men really like looking at buff men because they're like, I think it's like, as a woman, I like to see very feminine and womanly women. Whatever that means. Like, you know, beautiful hair, beautiful skin, you know, the traditionally feminine. Like when I see that, I like look at that and I'm saying I want to look at that because that's like my goal. But then with men, they see really buff guys or guys with lots of hair. And they say that's what I want to be. So it doesn't make you gay, okay? It's okay. Admit it that you admire it. It's okay to admire something. And also, if it did make you gay, why does that matter? If you're a guy and you see a guy and you're like, that's hot, whether it's sexual, whether you're attracted to them or not, why does that even matter? But even if it was, besides that, it's a perfectly human thing to look at somebody and say that's an attractive person because that's somebody you want to look like, or that's somebody that you say, hey, like that person's attractive. It's respect. Okay, it doesn't mean you want to have sex with them. And that's kind of weird if that's where you go first. If that's your go-to, right? Like your go-to is that you see an attractive person and you're like, I want to fuck that person. That's really fucking weird. Who does this? Weirdos. Jeez. Like, who meets somebody and their first thought is whether or not they want to have sex with them? I meet somebody and I'm like, hey, this is a person. And then, like, maybe you interact with that person. Hey, this is a person I can interact with. And then maybe those thoughts creep in, but, like, I mean, obviously, it's natural, okay? But, like, why is that your focus? Because sometimes people outwardly express these thoughts. And that's the first thing that they talk to with their friends. And I understand it's guy culture. Okay, and it's not just guy culture. It's leaked over into see, you say guy, but if you say gal, nobody really says that. It's weird. Gendered terms are weird. Okay, because we say dude and we say guy and like we say you guys. And sometimes it's gender neutral. I don't really want to get into that. A lot of cisgender people will, like, you know, explain that they're not being transphobic when a trans person repeatedly asks not to, when they're at least with them. And I think that's a respect thing. It's not really a transphobia thing. It's just like, regardless of whether I'm trans or not, if somebody asks you not to call them something, I mean, shouldn't that be like, hey, like, maybe I should think about that more? And with this person, I shouldn't say this. And people get really defensive, and oh, God, I don't think you saw anything. Why is it so important to people that they get to say things that hurt other people? Like, why is that like, oh, I just say dude for everybody. Why don't you get over it? And it's like, okay, well, you want to sit there with your arms crossed while I'm just like thinking about you and I'm losing respect for you every minute that you talk? Like, is that what you want to do? Is that how you want to play it? Like seriously, like I don't understand why people do this. Especially when it comes to stuff related to trans stuff, like you know, or like racism, like when it comes to stuff like that, why are people trying to say problematic things? I don't understand. And I know what it is. It's pride. They're like, oh well, you can't tell me what to do. But it's just like, dude, like take a step back. And yeah, obviously, it's okay when you're talking in the ether. And when I get mad, it's not because I'm mad at what you said. I'm just like kind of saying like, I'm not getting mad at, like when I think people think that we're just angry when we like that we're gonna cancel you just for saying a term like dude that's gendered but can be used in a gender neutral way, and is because I use it gender neutrally, but sometimes it doesn't feel gender neutral, and I can't know when that is. And so it's like, if somebody asks you, hey, I don't really feel like hearing that, like when it's targeted at me, I don't care if you use it other ways, but like when you're targeting it at me, I really don't like that. And then people could say, hey, like, I'm sorry about that, I'll try not to do that. Or you could say, what do you mean? It's a gender neutral term. Like, seriously? Like, that's the hill you want to die on? You want to be that person? And I understand, like, it can get really tiring. It's tiring for me, and I'm in the trans community, okay? It's tiring for me to constantly worry about what pronouns to use. About, like, sometimes I use they and them when I refer to something that I'm not, that has, like, that I don't know the gender. Like, it's like when playing chess, I've made a habit of that, but it's frustrating, and I can't tell people not to, obviously, because people usually default to he and him when they're talking about chess positions. And because historically it's been a locker room. Because most of the people who play chess, did I really just do that? Most of the people who play chess in the past, I think it's because I had a word that, like, that was gonna have a T in it. And I mixed the words together in time because I'm a fourth dimensional being. Okay? Little did you know, okay? I exist across all time. Did you guys know that? At least I will. You know, see, that's if I exist in this life form, if I exist for all eternity, it would be miserable, and that's why I have to transcend this life form and become a fourth dimensional being. Because then it's cool. It's all like, hey, like, you're a fourth dimensional being now. You can see time differently. Then it's different. If I see time this way, as linear, then it's like a terrible existence. I mean, it might not be so terrible. Okay, yeah. I mean, if I could, I would live forever. You guys, I'm just gonna tell you right now, if it's possible to live forever, I'm gonna take it. Okay. If somebody offered on the table, you could either die happy or you could live forever and possibly be happy or possibly be miserable, I'd be like, well, I'm already used to this one, so I'm just gonna stick with that one. Like, yeah, die happy. Well, what does that even mean? I don't even know what comes after death. Okay, that's a gamble. Like taking this one. Like, if you said, oh, if somebody promises you something, doesn't mean it's gonna happen. So if somebody says if you die, you're gonna go to heaven, well, that's really freaking stupid. You can promise that, doesn't mean it's gonna happen. Okay, like, what is heaven? Like, what is it? Like, it's gonna be different for everybody. Like, you could say that heaven is just like waking up in the morning and talking to your friends. Well, I can do that here. Okay, like, I don't need to wait for this to do that. Why don't I just make heaven right here? And so if you had the opportunity where, hey, like, you don't have, like, okay, let's say you hypothetically, you were actually promised, like, you will have, like, a perfect, like, afterlife if you die right now, or if somebody said you can live forever, but it's just like what you're living right now, and you're in control of what happens. Well, this might technically be better if you really scale it, because if you're living forever, you have an infinite amount of time, but it does create more risk because you could theoretically become, imprisoned. Like imprisoned in some kind of like not even like legally, like I'm just talking like imprisoned in some kind of like force that traps you, and then you're trapped there for all eternity. But if you live forever, your sense of time is different, so there's always the possibility that you can escape, right? So if you live forever, you can always transcend your current form because you have an infinite amount of time. You could like create your energy. You could train your energy. We don't even know what the limits of the universe are. We don't even know what the limits of our understanding on this planet is, let alone the understanding of the entire universe with different planets. And then there's possibly multiple universes. What if we could figure out how to shift ourselves to different universes? We don't know that. But if what if like we find out, like if we go to this place where it's like living forever in the current universe without the promise of whatever this is, and we find out through the course of our eternity that this is just one universe, that like if you took this one, which we call heaven or whatever, like if you took this one, that it's actually just one little small place in an infinite expanding place. And so if you take this one, you might never reach these other places. And you might call it heaven, but what if there's something better out there, right? You want to hold out for more money, okay? Yeah, and some people might call this hell, even. Some people might call this hell, but that doesn't mean it is. That also doesn't mean this is heaven. And so that's why this whole idea of heaven and hell is broken. It's fundamentally broken. It's too binary. Because life is not a binary. It's like, it's not even really bimodal, but it kind of is. There's infinite numbers between 0 and 1, okay? You still have to have a 0 and 1. So I guess life is bimodal. I guess if you call like heaven and hell, or heaven and hell or whatever, but nothing is really these things. It's just something in between. And it can shift at any given moment. And also, one person's definition of heaven might be hell, and one person's definition of hell might be heaven. So the whole idea is flawed from the onset. Okay. So it's like it's like, and it's toxic because I don't want to be anti-religion. I have to say this in a way. I need to disclaim that I'm not saying that religion is bad, and actually I think that if we truly go into religious texts and practice them, it's not what the effect of like the world, what we see in the world of people who are actually harming people is not religion. Is not spirituality. Okay, so I love spirituality. I think it's philosophy. It's the nature of the universe, and it's certain people's interpretation of what the search for meaning is. And that's perfectly fine. And obviously some people take it more seriously than others, and I think that's a mistake. You can't look at something that's like written down and say this is the ultimate truth. There's always the possibility that it's wrong. And like I said, if you live for an eternity, this can always be wrong, right or wrong. So even if you prove it, quote unquote, that's the thing about science, the scientific method, is even though obviously there are things like that we understand are pretty much true. Like we've proven it like through testing, but proof doesn't mean 100% true, but it pretty much does. And so this is why it's weird when people like look at like multiple scientific studies that are peer reviewed, like stuff with COVID, for example, and they say, oh, well, science isn't perfect. Well, you think your Facebook meme that you saw that your friend posted that said some information that you didn't even Google to fact check, you think that's better than a panel of scientists? Come on, dude. Like, seriously. obviously there's one option that's better than the other, okay? Like, seriously. But the thing is like theoretically, and I pondered this nature of immortality for a very long time, since like 2011, when I started my first novel, which actually made its way more into the second novel. And it's actually, I have 3 different novels that are set on the same planet. The third one is kind of in the future, and it also exists in the solar system that the planet is in. It's a planet called Tress, Tress. And I don't know what it translates to in that universe's, like, you know, lore. But like the oldest people are basically, there's this crystal called our oh god, I have to be careful because I called it Arcanum, and I don't want it to sound like Arcadum now. God damn it. Fuck. Jesus, why do people have to be freaking rapists? Jeez. Stop hurting people. Stop. Just think about your actions. Stop being selfish. Jeez. Your needs don't outweigh other people. Like, and why do you want those to be your needs? Why do you want to take your needs at the suffering of other people? Why do you want to be that person? Obviously, in some cases, you know, like especially like with business practices, you can legally get away with taking advantage of people. Some people want to take away the minimum wage. Oh, the minimum wage is actually $0 an hour. Really? Like, obviously, some people might take that if they're like promised like housing or something, and the housing is like a little box with like a bed, because they don't want to be homeless. But that's wrong. Everybody should be compensated for their work. So we need a minimum wage to guarantee that, you know, so that people can actually function in this world and not be like enslaved. Like that's common sense, but some people are like, oh, the market decides. The market doesn't always decide. Because if somebody is in a shitty situation and somebody swoops in and says, hey, I know you're in a shitty situation, I can give you a job at my factory, and instead of paying you, I can give you a place to live. And like, they're not paying anything, basically. Like, they can get like a freaking box and like give this person a place to sleep and give them shitty work conditions. But that's the thing, is we need to regulate these things. And I know people say they don't like politics, but I think today we need to get over that. We need to stop thinking of like this party versus this party. It's not a soccer game, okay? We're not playing football. Okay, this is our lives. We're one species. You guys get that? Like, you think that this is like, oh, it's Republicans versus Democrats. Like, no, this isn't football. No, in the right corner, we got the rip-roaring Republicans. Ah! And then in the left corner, we got the Democrats. They want progressive values. Ah! They're both conservatives. But, like, I don't know. It's just like, what? I mean, they're both right wing. Some are progressive, some are conservative. There's more progressives in the Democratic Party, but that's different. Okay, like, why are we treating it like a game of football or boxing? Like, it's not a sport, you guys. Can you just get that through your head? Can we get rid of the ancient Rome Colosseum? Okay, why do we need to see people battle it out? Go take care of that in sports. That's what they're for. Okay? Like, the fact that people get mad if somebody supports their enemy team or their rival team, and then, like, people actually, like, get into fights and, like, hurt people just for, like, a game of football or whatever. Like, whether it's, like, soccer or American football, like, or baseball. Like, dude, it's a competition that's supposed to be entertaining. It doesn't define your life, and the fact that people latch onto it is indicative of a bigger problem, that their lives are so frustrating and miserable that they have to like get drunk and watch people beat the shit out of each other just to feel okay. Like, that's a problem. Don't people see that? It's been frustrating. It's been like that my whole entire life. I see people like, why are people like getting crazy about sports? Like, people are like, just like, my team is better than yours. Like, dude, like, you just happen to live in this town. If you lived in a different town, you would be like, if you lived in their town, you would be doing the same thing for their team. It's so fucking stupid, dude. So stupid. I'm gonna get my kombucha. We're gonna have to get to writing soon. Okay, I mean, this is good stuff too, okay, you guys? Writing is actually like an after effect. I think a lot of people don't really understand that. Is that you don't just, I mean, obviously it's good to sit down and write and just improvise, which we're gonna do today, don't worry. I'm warming up. But a lot of writing is actually just, you have to understand the concept first. Like, you don't just start writing, you need to know why you're writing. You need to know if when you're writing a scene, like, I mean, obviously a lot of the times I figure it out as I go, but inside my head, I have this little mechanism that has already, like, I've been pedaling this mechanism. Like, it's like a little, like, you know, those bikes and you're trying to, like, ride your bike and it's to power a light bulb. I've been riding that bike since I was, like, 5 years old. So I'm always working on that. Like what I'm talking about right here, like the concept of heaven and hell and how broken it is and how life is really not about like this versus that. It's more like this. And whatever you make of this is dependent on like who you are and where you're coming from. So it's like, it's just this. This is what the universe is. It's just this. It's not this versus this. These are only constructs that we see depending on which direction we come from, depending on which spawning point we have. If we were born on a planet where we have like, it's primarily water and we're fish, we would evolve differently. If we had similar evolution path where we evolved to have like, you know, the kind of intelligence that we have, where we say like, hey, like my environment's gonna change, I need to take this thing and change it. That's what happened with humans. We just happen to be based, you know, primarily evolved from primates. We have evolutionary traits from jellyfish, by the way. And like we're learning, I don't know 100% about all this, but we're understanding like within the past like 15 years, I think, we've been learning more about how evolution works. And that actually like evolution would actually happen not over millions of years for a lot of things, but like key DNA changes would happen over a few generations based on the current environment. Because obviously survival is the number one thing, right? Obviously some generations would survive in the current conditions. There's always going to be some kind of percentage of you know, the whole model of like Darwinism, you know, the natural selection. But what we've been learning about evolution in the more like kind of recent decade or whatever is that there would be a change in the environment and less offspring would survive. And so since there was less that would survive, there's some kind of instinctual like encoding in the DNA that says we need to change something, because they would live through the environment and they would notice the environment. Their DNA would change over like 1 to 3 generations, you know, like and you know, like fish or whatever. And they would like develop like a new way of detecting light, because there would be a new predator, and then that predator obviously would have new ways of detecting movement and all that kind of stuff. Like that's like it would happen in like a few generations, and then that would permanently be changed. Like that would change in their DNA. And then parts of those DNA make their way, like we're connected to every single species on the planet. We're like a whole amalgamation of everything. We just primarily stem from primates. But if there was a species that primarily stemmed from some kind of amphibious creature that was able to like come out to land, or if we were actually like primarily Aquan, Aquan, whatever. Like if there was a planet that was primarily water, actually like all water, and a species evolved that was required to have communication between species, I mean between you know, like some kind of like what we call speech, but obviously it would be different underwater. But like if there was some need for evolution to do that, most species don't have that need. Most species that we see have evolved, they're perfectly fine the way they are. They're like, hey, most of our species survives if we just kind of swim around and just do whatever we're doing. And then obviously we kill off a lot of species, and that's a problem because they're not able to evolve. Maybe that'll catch up to us one day, and there'll be a species that catches up and says, hey, stop killing us. And that hasn't happened yet, obviously, but it might happen. You never know. And obviously the sci-fi idea, because we think based on our own evolution and based on our own history, we assume that other intelligent species would act like us. But that's most likely not going to be true. Like, obviously, like, if you have some kind of way of speech and there's going to be people who butt heads about things, but we don't know that. What if there's a species out there that evolves where they solved that already? And they just happened to solve it, where we didn't at a key moment in history. And that could be right now. We could solve that right now. World peace is possible, you guys. We can do this, okay? We can do this on stream. Believe it or not. we're gonna get that achievement. It's gonna pop up on screen. Achievement unlocked. Achieve world peace. Nobel Peace Prize for Rebecca Lauren. I can do it on stream, you guys. You wanna do it? World peace speed run. I'm gonna get my kombucha. Okay. Okay, and I'm also heating up some chicken risotto. Yeah, let's see, got music. Alright, let's do it the XTC way. Okay, guys. Huh? Now you gotta, like, it's like poofed out. My hair is so messy. Oh, come on, I can't do this when I'm wearing a t-shirt with no bra, okay? I gotta be really careful. You gotta be really careful, okay? You don't want to get banned. Okay, we got our kombucha. We're still getting ready to write. We're still just talking shit, okay? I have no obligation. I have no obligation to sit down and write, okay? And in fact, if I'm not ready to write, I have to, I have to mentally prepare, okay? Like, we're still in that process, okay? Like, this is my warm-up. I have to be okay with that. It works, okay? It works. Obviously, what really works is just sitting down and writing, but I'm not ready for that yet. See, what works for me is like taking rest periods, and then when I write, I put 100% into it. And I do that for like 5 minutes, and then I stop. And that's actually what helped me finish NaNoWriMo in 2014. So NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month. People take it way too seriously sometimes, but really what it is just a month where you dedicate yourself to creating new writing habits. And try to write like 50,000 words in a month, which is a lot. Most people probably, I think most professional writers will only write like 20,000 words a month. But it's setting yourself a challenge so that you can build new habits. That's the way I see it. It is whatever you make it. Some people see it as a literal, like, this is NaNoWriMo, I did it, but then they don't really write like a story. They just write like a bunch of words. And that's pretty much what I did. But I created an outline for a story that has stuck with me since then. And that is, the fact that it's stuck with me that long means that it might stick with other people. And everybody that I've shown it to has thought it's very unique and interesting. So they may not have read all of it. It was really shitty draft, and it was only the first part of the story. I've written more to it, and the later stuff that I wrote, like in 2015 and 2016 and 2017, and also up to this day, kind of the later scenes that I wrote after that initial chunk were so much better. And that tells me that these ones that happen later, when I rewrite the story, I'm gonna do it that way. And so like it evolved. My ability, my writing improved through writing it. And my understanding of the story improved through writing it. And I need to do more of that, and I haven't. I don't know why. There must be a reason. Okay, it's not like there's no reason. There's a reason why I haven't gotten back to it. And I know why at this point. And now I'm able to state it clearly. Is because I needed to work on myself. I was avoiding my transition, just like Tully Evenstar was avoiding the work she needed to do, which is trying to get her sister back. Because her sister died, but then she created an android that was like some kind of amalgamation. It was an emergent consciousness from combining consciousnesses of her sister and this evil professor guy, this mad scientist guy. And so there's an emergent property, which is Wedge, and that's her only friend. And if she wants to get her sister back, she has to risk losing her friend and killing her friend, basically. So it's like she can either try to get somebody that's from her ancient past, because she lives forever. Tully Evenstar is immortal. She happens to be like one of the rare. There's like a few people in this story that have lived for like thousands of years, and there's people who've lived like even longer than her. She's lived for like 1,000 years, but there's the main antagonist he's been around for like tens of thousands of years. And in fact he emerged from the first novel in the series. It's not really a series. It's like 3 separate novel series. They're three separate series. There's the Scourge, which is based on a character named Uriel, and he's like this soldier that rises up and finds this substance called Arcanum. I'm gonna change that, okay? I don't want to call it Arcanum. It sounds too close to Arcadum, okay? I literally don't have to, but I feel like I need to. It just sounds too much like Arcadum, like really. Oh, sorry I missed the follows. Space Ducks, how did you resubscribe? I left the affiliate program. Hello, Rebecca, beautiful girl. Here it is, 6 months and checking in on you. This day, have a fantastic stream, having a lovely chat about handsome men and mysterious, alluring feminine women. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed you, Space Ducks. I really don't know how you subscribed. I don't know how that happened. I canceled my affiliate contract. So how did you even subscribe? How did you even do that? How is it why is it in emote only mode? I'm sorry about that. I keep forgetting to do that. How did you even subscribe? Oh, I think what it was. I think I know what it was. You probably already paid for it ahead of time, right? Get your subscription set up from, yeah, okay, I figured it out right when you said it, right before you said it, Space Ducks, that we're right here. Okay, that's how connected we are, Space Ducks. I can't believe that. I just figured it out right when you said it. Right before you said it. Yeah, like you paid it ahead of time, and I know that you can do that on Twitch. Okay. Yeah, sorry I missed that. I didn't have my my activity feed you know, visible. Now I do, and I forgot that I was on emote only mode. Jeez. I mean, no, I have these 3 separate novel series, and I just call it like I don't know. I'll figure out what to call it. It's a crystalline substance that exists in the planet. Like, it's actually like, it's a fundamental element that exists in the planet of Tress that has shaped the entire planet's evolution. And it's a similar evolution to ours, except there's also lion people. Okay? There's primate-based life like ours, and there's also lion people. Okay? I haven't really necessarily figured that part out, really. I kind of introduced it in Evenstar, and I don't want to spoil Uriel, but the Scourge. But in the Scourge, there's an end that kind of is the beginning of the lion people. But they're basically humans who have transcended the human form and became lion people, and then those people's offspring. And the power that they have diminishes through the time, because the power of this crystalline substance, which I'm renaming because it sounds too much like Arcadum. Like I said, I called it Arcanum. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, I don't even. I'm gonna be real with you, Space Ducks. I didn't even see that money. Twitch stole it from me. Because the way it works is, unless you make $100, you don't get that money. And it was taking too long for me to get to $100, so I just canceled my affiliate anyway, and they took the money. I think it was like probably like $60 to $80 or something like that. So that's one of the main reasons why I canceled my affiliate. Having an affiliate by itself doesn't really mean anything, and I think a lot of people who are starting out as streamers don't really get that. And you'll see all these like small streamer like communities on Reddit and stuff say, hey, path to affiliate, let's get affiliate, guys, let's get affiliate. And it's like, that's the wrong attitude. Your growth should be, your focus should be on growth, but not just for growth. Well, you're banned. Sad news of Twitch robbery. Yeah, you know, it's like, also partner by itself doesn't mean anything. People are thinking about it wrong. Your goal should not to be just to grow, because you can grow by getting followers, but if those followers don't even watch you, and if they don't even do anything, then what does that even mean? You could have like 10 million followers, but if you have 3 people watching, what does that even mean? So it's like, your goal should be to become a brand that people want to, and create content that people want to consume that provides value. And even that, you don't even have to create content to provide value. Your goal should be to provide value. And also make that so that people want more. They're like, hey, I want, it shouldn't be like, hey, like, please give my content a watch, come here and watch me. It should be like, hey, I'm making this content, and they're like, give me more. You want them to come to you. And so like, that's why even getting partner is not in and of itself like a goal. You should only apply for, first of all, Twitch partner is extremely, unless you already have unless you have a very strong monetization model that's built on Twitch, it's not even good to go into partner. Because if you can't monetize that, you're limiting yourself because they have you won't be able to stream on YouTube, you won't be able to stream on Twitter, you won't be able to stream on Facebook or anywhere because they have an exclusivity contract, which affiliate has an exclusivity where you can't stream simultaneously. You have to wait 24, and this is why I canceled my affiliate, is you have to wait 24 hours before you post that content somewhere else. But partner is even more restrictive. If you go into partner, you can't even stream anywhere else, even when you're not streaming on Twitch, even if you wait 24 hours. I think some contracts are able to get around that. I think chess.com made a custom contract with Twitch, but that's even like, if you get to that point, then you're like freaking light years in the distance. Like you rocket shipped yourself out into the stratosphere. Okay, once you're there, once you're making custom contracts with Twitch, that's a different world. Okay, like don't worry about that. Okay, what I'm talking about is like, if you're like, oh, I need to get 75 concurrent viewers so I can get that Twitch partner contract, like that's the wrong attitude to have. You should be like, hey, like I can actually, like, if you get to like the ability to apply for Twitch partner, you should probably ask yourself, is this going to benefit my overall growth plan? Is this going to benefit my career? And if it does, then take it. But if it doesn't, most likely me, I'm not going to take a partner contract unless I know that I'm going to be able to, you know, get financially compensated enough for it. So if you know, at some point that might happen, but it might never happen. I might just stick with no contract with Twitch and just be, you know, a free agent and just stream everywhere, stream on YouTube and get following there and monetize that, and then stream on Twitter, and then you could even monetize Twitter once you can apply for it at 10,000 followers. But I don't think they have exclusivity. I think the only place that has exclusivity is Twitch, and they really need to change that. They really need to change that. It's an archaic business model. You should be able to stream everywhere, because my brand is not Twitch streamer. My brand is Rebecca Lauren. Like, I am the brand, okay? Like, I am the business. And where I do that business is dependent on, you know, a lot of things. Obviously, streaming by itself is not my growth plan. And that's kind of why my stream, I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for YouTube. I'm kind of going to do, like, obviously, I'm doing stuff on Twitter off stream. You know, because content creation isn't just about the content. Like, I mean, you could define content in different ways. I mean, like, obviously, I rant and shit a lot on Discord and Twitter. Discord is a little different. It's more private, but it's not private. Like, it's weird. It's not like Twitter, but it's kind of like Twitter. But it depends on the community, okay? And the thing is I'm not trying with Twitter and Discord to make specific content the same way I am with YouTube. And streaming is a bit different. It's like a mix between YouTube and Twitter. If I'm gonna be real, like, it's me, like, kind of speaking off the cuff, but I'm also sometimes creating content that might be useful for YouTube, but I'm not really there yet, okay? I really haven't figured out my YouTube yet. I'm trying to, okay? I'm really trying. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, a lot of it is just getting into habits where instead of just staying in bed and crying and just being upset and depressed, I could have just done that, but instead I got up and sat down in my chair and started my stream. Like, obviously that's not really good for growth. It might be, I don't know. I mean, I have 3 people watching, so. But like I said, you know, you gotta look at the big picture. Getting affiliate is not going to be useful unless you can monetize it. And like, even if you have like 100 viewers, if you have a community that is able to, you know, that if you're able to monetize 100 people, you can actually do really well. You might be able to be, and I don't know, some people, you know, Devin Nash says you should never be affiliate. I agree with that, actually. Unless, I mean, obviously there's going to be a case where, hey, like, you're not able to get partner yet, but if you're really able to monetize on Twitch as an affiliate, you should do that, but most people probably aren't. I'm just saying, like, there might be a case where you're not able to be partner, but for some reason you're able to monetize an affiliate contract really well. I don't know if that's ever happened. But, you know, most people go straight to partner, I think. But yeah, taking away my affiliate contract, which I did, I offboarded. I submitted a ticket saying, hey, I want to offboard my Twitch affiliate contract because I want to focus on my growth. And they just, you know, they canceled it, and it's, you know, it's fine. I'm gonna wait until I'm at a place where I can consider partner. Okay? Consider. That's the idea. Because, like, I could have like 100 concurrent viewers, but I might want to wait until I get like 1,000 concurrent viewers, or even more. I might never want to become partner unless Twitch could offer me a huge offer that I can't refuse. Like, if they say, hey, we're gonna pay you like $100,000 a year, and you don't even have to work that hard. Like, like, obviously, I mean, $100,000 not that much, considering like some of these Twitch contracts are like $1 million or whatever. I don't know how much they make. I don't really know. What I'm saying is, like, if they give me an offer that I can't refuse, then obviously I'll take it. But the fact of the matter is like, if, as long as I can't expand my growth in other platforms, I'm not going to want to grab that partner if I can get to that place, which I'm trying to. I'm trying to get to a place where I'm trying to think beyond Twitch. Like, I'm trying to think about my brand as a person in the big world that we live in. I don't want to just be a Twitch streamer. Okay, I want to be Rebecca, an amazing, like, you know, entrepreneur. Forbes magazine, okay, like, you know, or Entertainment Weekly, like, whatever. I don't know. I like, obviously these are all like results, and it's not really good to focus on results. It's good to focus on the process of things that you want to do. And there's things that I'm trying to figure out that I really enjoy doing, but also things that I can consistently come back to, because you can love something. It doesn't mean you want to do it. I don't know. It's hard to explain to people, because a lot of people, especially people in the arts and the entertainment industry, sometimes you hate your job. Like, you show up to like write your novel, and sometimes you hate it. Okay, but you do it because it provides value to you, whether that's financially, whether that's you know, through internal gratification. You know that it pays off, because sometimes you do something that you don't like doing because eventually you know that you love doing it. That like with music, I've been like unmotivated to work on my music for a few years now. I've, you know, picked up my instruments on stream a couple times, but you guys don't even know the half of it. Like, you guys don't know how much effort I was putting into music for like 3 years, and also like my whole life I've been a musician. And you've seen the, I don't want to say given up, like that I gave up music. You've been seeing, like, you know, like, have you seen, there's that movie about Miles Davis where he's like in between performing, like he hasn't picked up his trumpet, and like that's the part of my life I'm in. I'm trying to focus on something bigger, and I want to bring music back into my life, but I'm not able to do that right now. And I'm trying to build something so that I have a place to build it with, if that makes any sense. Like, obviously, if I become a more popular content creator, I'd be able to have a platform to play my music, and also connections with people to collaborate for music projects. So I'm thinking about the business side of it. Because without a business, because I already found that music by itself doesn't give me meaning. I love music and I love playing music and it does provide value to me, but I need the business side. Because if I can't make it a business, I'm never going to be fully satisfied with the music side. Because it limits me. Because me playing instruments in my local town with like a few people watching, that it's not about like the money, it's about the opportunities. I want opportunities. I want to be able to like fly to LA and do some session recordings with amazing musicians. And you can't do that if you don't have a business. Because you don't have those connections. And so that's what I want. I want to perform with the best musicians in the world and learn from them, because I want to reach heights that I wouldn't be able to get if I stayed in my local town for my whole life, which is basically what happens with most musicians that I met, which that's fine because they provide that's valuable to them. That provides meaning. They work their day job and then they come home and they play music and they enjoy it. And they may never reach like the top echelons, but they don't want that. But I do. It is not because of the notoriety. It's not because of the money. It's because I want to be performing with the best musicians. I want to be working with people that, and having an active lifestyle. I want to be traveling across the world. I mean, at least across the United States, meeting with other professionals. That's the life I want. And I can't do that if I just play as a hobby. And so that's why, and since knowing that goal, that's why I'm trying to make it into a business. Not because of any external reward, not because of money, not because of fame and whatever. Those may or may not happen. But I mean, if I can make a business where I have connections with people and I can connect with other musicians and other broadcasters, other entertainers, other artists, like other writers, I want to get myself into that world. To going into like writing conventions, or like going to like TwitchCon and stuff like that, meeting other streamers, and figuring out business friendships and also just friendships. Because obviously a business relationship is never going to be 100% friends, okay? They might be, I don't know, you might make actual friends, but that you might have to sacrifice the business for that. But there's more people out there to do business with. You have to decide whether, when you meet somebody, do you want to have that relationship be a business relationship, or do you want that relationship to be friends and you have to sacrifice that business relationship? Sometimes there's a place in the middle. I don't know. I don't know. I literally don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. But that's my goal going into it. Whether or not I achieve those results is never going to be true, because my idea of the world is never going to be true, but that's my projection into the world. I'm going to see what happens, and then I'm going to take in the reality, and then I'm going to create a new projection, and then I'm going to put that projection in the world, and I'm going to continually refine it. Throw it out, pull it in. Throw it out, pull it in. And I have all these cans of seltzer water. It's like, it looks like I'm an alcoholic, but there's literally no alcohol in here. But I mean, there's like a trace amount of alcohol in the kombucha, but it's like so small. It's only because it's fermented. It's like it's natural. Like, it's so insignificant. You'd have to drink like 50 cans to even get slightly buzzed, and that's impossible. Like, first of all, you should only drink like 12 fluid ounces of kombucha a day, because you don't want too much of the probiotics in your gut. Oh, go. Gluten-free, 5,350 milligrams of omega-3s, and 5 grams of protein per serving. 9 grams of fat, 5 grams of protein, and it's good fat. People get so confused about dietary needs. As a diabetic, I put a lot of research into dietary needs. Fat is not bad. there are bad fats, but fat isn't something you should cut out of your diet. And more people confuse where like body fat comes from. A lot of the fat that we don't like actually comes from carbs. And even then, doesn't mean all carbs are bad. There's healthy carbs and there's unhealthy carbs. And so it just boils down to, it boils down to really, with your diet, you want a healthy and balanced diet. And you should focus more on your physical activity than you should on your diet. As long as you have a healthy diet, like, you don't have to go through this fad diet to lose weight. And well, first of all, losing weight shouldn't really be the goal unless you're like obese. And even then, like, that's a case-by-case basis and should be worked with your doctor. Like, this whole mindset of trying to be skinny is hurting people. Like, what we should focus on instead is stop forcing people to look a certain way just because it's like marketable. It's only marketable because that's the way people see it, and people only see it because people market it that way. It's like this like chicken and the egg problem, but it feeds on itself. Because, as you know, the market is only responding to public opinion. If public opinion changes, the market will change. But the public opinion won't change until the market changes. So we kind of have to awkwardly force the market. And people have to be willing to like get rid of like this notion of profit. Like, but that's not going to happen. So you have to make it worth their while, right? And so that becomes the job of people who are progressive. And that becomes our job. Is we can't just say, oh, you know, Greenpeace, you know, we need to make the world a better place. Like, we can't do that. We have to say, hey, your bottom line is going to be affected by this. You know, if you want, and you know, like you have to convince them of reality. Obviously, not lying. You have to convince them of the reality that this is not a sustainable business practice. That you can hold out for something bigger if you change these practices, and how you change that can just be like what you figure out. Like maybe you like gradually ease it in, or maybe you just suddenly change it and say, hey, you know what? We're the standard. This is the new standard, and deal with it. And yeah, you might risk losing a lot of business, but some people can afford that. And I feel like if you really want to change the world, you have to take that risk. I mean, some people can. Some people have more than enough money than they could ever spend their entire life. And you have to make the decision, like if you're Elon Musk or whatever, you have to make the decision where either I can temporarily use this money to help the planet, or I can invest this money for the future, which is what Elon Musk is doing. Like, that's why he's developing, like, you know, technology like that's going to actually revolutionize modern medicine and the modern world. Like people don't really see that. They see some crazy billionaire doing all these things that he just wants to do, and obviously he has every right to do it. It's money that he's earned. And then people will say, oh, but he's earned it off the backs of people. Fuck that. You know, like, dude, like, somebody who's like taking their money and investing it in the entire human species to prevent climate change, to undo climate change, to put us out into space so that we can like mine asteroids and like completely revolutionize the way our society works, maybe even become a type 1 civilization. Like, people are so short-sighted. There's people out there with his kind of money who are preventing this progress, who are actively preventing people like Elon Musk from doing what he wants, from making actual progress. And instead, they see one person use their money that they may or may not have gotten through, you know, bad business practices. You know, sometimes the end justifies the means, okay? Don't blame the player, blame the game. Are you gonna like focus on somebody who does evil business practices and then continues to do evil business practice and doesn't even do anything good for humanity? Or somebody who may or may not have done shady business practices, but then uses that money to advance our species into places that we could have never achieved without that investment. So I feel people are so short-sighted. People are like shit on Elon Musk all the fucking time. And it's like, these are the kind of people who change society. You know, because they have the kind of influence, they have the money and the power and all that. But like, you know, obviously nobody who's a billionaire is really like I don't know. It's a really hard judgment call. Whether or not you could say that somebody is a good person or not, because that's subjective. I mean, you could just say, like, there's no such thing as good and evil, and literally we're just, like little bacteria just crawling around that somehow managed to create, like, a structure that it lives on, and, like skeletons, and we're just, like, this jellyfish that created a skeleton, and we're just floating around. Like, that's literally, like, another more advanced species would see us, and we'll just see, like, what we see when we see jellyfish. Like, we're just jellyfish. I really feel like a lot of the stuff, like, our eyesight evolved from jellyfish, by the way. So it's like, this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, a lot of the stuff that we've understood about evolution has, like, we've changed how we think about it. Because we used to think it would take like millions of years to evolve, but really certain DNA traits would change like in a few generations. And one of those was jellyfish's ability to detect light. And that's basically like the very first like evolution of eyesight. Because for the longest time in ancient history of evolution, animals didn't have eyesight. They just had like feeling, and they just... But then jellyfish, certain jellyfish evolved the ability to detect light, like shift in light, because if like an animal, if a creature was above it, it needed to know so that it could like hide or whatever, or other fish would do that. And there was like basically a couple different versions that were that evolved, and some survived and some didn't, and that's natural selection. But anyway, what was I talking about? Before I was talking about Elon Musk and all that. I think the goal should not be to like mingle with people. Like, obviously the goal of mingling is to achieve a goal, but I think we should go beyond that. You know, as long as somebody isn't hurting like other people, we should associate with them, but our goal shouldn't be just to associate them because if we associate with that person, it'll make us popular, because that's the same mindset that small streamers have. And that keeps them small streamers in the small streamer syndrome or whatever. Can I say the most hurtful thing you can say? I'm not going to guarantee whether or not you're going to be staying in this channel or not, but I mean, you're free to say whatever you want. Mutt? Oh, like calling somebody a mutt. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's only hurtful because subjectively we associate that with being negative. But if we really look at things objectively, this is why you can't say that a word is objectively like, oh, it's neutral or whatever. Nothing is neutral. I think people need to get rid of, yeah, calling someone a mutt. Yeah, like, it's basically like saying like, oh, you're not a... But you know what? Mutts are actually better evolved than purebreds. Because purebreds are basically, you know, like, inbred. So it's like... Purebred, it means inbred. Like that, they have evolutionary traits that are like that are wrong. Like they're not set up to survive. I'm always reaching for the stars. I'm reaching for the stars. Okay. No, I mean seriously though. Mixed genetics is going to be stronger than purebred genetics, because purebred genetics are going to create, like pugs and bulldogs, like their eyeballs fall out. Yeah, bulldogs, their eyes fall out. But mutts, they're healthy and they're strong. So the only reason that we consider mutts to be inferior is because of like a weird societal idea that if something is pure, it's better. And we can change that. We can change the way we talk about things, but it's just, we've gotten to a place where everything is just like I'm confused. Everybody's confused because there's so much information out there that how are we supposed to sort through it all? We could look at something and nothing is truly objective. We could say the sky is blue, but what is blue? Like, can we even define blue? And in fact, our version of blue is going to look different than somebody else's version of blue. But we can agree that it's blue, right? So, you know, color works in a weird way. It goes into our eyes and we process it in our brain. And our brain, and goes true with any idea. There's an objective, quote unquote, truth. And yeah, obviously in the universe, there is a true objective, just whatever it is. But as human beings, our brain inherently is subjective because that's how it works. It takes in the information, it processes it, depending on how you're going to use that information to survive. Your idea of something changes depending on how useful it is for survival. And so that's why there's a huge rate of depression. And obviously, you know, you have to, I'm not going to say that I'm like an expert or anything. So, you know, whatever the fact checking is, whatever. I'm not claiming to be like some doctor or expert or whatever. Can I ask in this crazy events how you're doing? I'm doing okay. I'm just like kind of waking up, trying to figure out what I'm doing today. We've been live for an hour and a half and I still don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I know like what I want to do. I want to actually just like do some writing. But I've been kind of just having my coffee and I have my kombucha and I heated up some risotto. And, you know, we're just chit-chatting and, you know, just going through different... You have maggots in your brain? I'm sorry. That sucks. So... when our brain takes in information, it evolves. Our brain evolved and also it continually evolves. And we have the capability of utilizing our brain to like in a helpful way. But it takes understanding before we can do that, and most people will not take that time and effort. And that's why we have a pandemic going on. And the pandemic isn't just the COVID virus. The pandemic is misinformation that creates a panic across people. But we need to take a step back and realize that there's such a thing as mind over matter. Something is not what it appears to be. We can see something and we might freak out about it, but we have to take a step back and truly look at it and say like, hey, before I have this knee-jerk reaction, why don't we look at this like a bit more and try to understand it? Why 1 + 1 = 2? That's actually like the most, like, it's actually the proof to 1 + 1 = 2 is so freaking long. I tried looking at it. I don't even know how to like process it. Like, I'm not a mathematician, but the proof for 1 + 1 = 2 is so freaking advanced. It's just insane. Like, you have to define, well, first of all, you have to define 1, and you have to define addition, and you have to define why putting those two things together creates a new numeral. Like, yeah, you have to define numbers, like what is a number, and then you have to define what addition is. And you know, subtraction is actually addition. Like 1 + -1 is 1 - 1. So you can really say everything is addition. And you like multiplication is addition. So 2 × 2 is actually 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 in parentheses. Like, but then you have to define what parentheses are. Yeah, and then there's binary and hexadecimal and octal and everything. Number systems are actually really awesome. I really like them. And once you truly understand what they're all about... Hey, Tippy! Have I ever played Neo Turf Masters? Let me Google it. I might want to play it. Yeah, I mean, I like random. We like random here. We really like random. Never feel like you're being bad by being random. We're all about random, Tippy. Neo Turf Masters. Oh, it's golf. Oh, on the Neo Geo. On the Neo Geo of all things. Jeez. Don't confuse me even more, but I don't mind dying. Well, here's the thing. Is life is only as meaningful as we make it. And if you don't really care about life, then, I mean, that might be a good or bad thing. But if you're content with the life you have, and you're also content with like, hey, one day I'm not gonna live. That's the reality we live in. Objectively, we're just like floating bags of water with bacteria floating around us, with a skeleton that has been created in order to move us around in an environment in space on a terrestrial body. So, first of all, here's another thing. Defining yourself as something like a nihilist is inherently incorrect. Because I feel like defining yourself by any one thing, I feel like you're limiting yourself. You are literally, like I said, you are literally a floating bag of water with a skeleton that was created to have us inhabit a terrestrial body of a floating bag of bacteria. Think about that for a second. So any one thing that you define as who you are is false. You are literally only that thing. And then even then, you don't, the only reason we have words for those things is because our brain created those words. Objectively, there is no observer. We're like, if you have no observer, we don't exist. But the concept of existence was something that we created. So it's like consciousness is something we created. So like the universe is just, it's just something that exists. It's just there. Like, want to get a beer with me? I don't know. Maybe at TwitchCon. I'm gonna try to go to TwitchCon 2022. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna really try to get there. I'd like to meet other streamers and other people, other viewers. You just say kippies when you click? I don't know what that means. But I think the whole concept of defining your political identity or defining your religious identity, it only has meaning to you. Like, some people are like, oh, I'm a socialist. Or some people say, I'm a fascist. I mean, they might say, they don't say that literally, but they really do through their beliefs. But the whole idea of saying, like, the goal, it's just like what I was going back to. Your goal as a streamer isn't to become an affiliate or become a partner. Your goal is to create a brand that produces a monetization model. And however you achieve that monetization is dependent on many different things. And if you think about just the Twitch streaming part, you're not really, you're limiting yourself. If you think about just the YouTube part, you're limiting yourself. There's a whole spectrum of things you can be doing to monetize your brand, which my brand is Rebecca Lauren. She, her pronouns. Like, I'm a person and that's my brand, and figuring out how to make that brand monetized is the challenge. It's a challenge, of course, but that's the thing I need to be focusing on. Not streaming, not YouTube creation, not Twitter outreach. Because a lot of people go for the thing where, like, oh, follow for follow. Hey, we need to get to 100 followers. You know, like, that doesn't mean anything. Nobody cares. It doesn't do anything for you. Except maybe make you feel happy for some reason. I don't know. Click means when your beer stains hit each other. That's getting kind of kinky. You know, you fear when I hear the sign of evil. I don't know what that means. Whatever that means. Obviously, I do believe that. I mean, so that's like Satan is coming. Okay, come on. Yeah, go a little bit less on that kind of stuff. Yeah, a little bit less on that. I mean, it's fine to talk about as a concept. But, you know, just like, we're not about, like, you know, dogmatic beliefs over here. Like I said, the idea of being a socialist, where people walk around and they use that as an identity, which, I mean, that's fine, but, like, you have to really ask yourself, what's your goal? If your goal is to reach socialism, or your goal is to have everybody know that you associate as a socialist, like, which is more important to you, having the aesthetic of being a socialist, or actually pushing for socialist ideas to, like, create socialized medicine so that everybody can have healthcare, affordable healthcare, or even free healthcare? Oh, Doom 1 and Doom 2. So technically, those are from a different universe. But, like, we do have, like, string theory, where everything kind of vibrates at a quantum level, and our universe is actually not unique. And, like, it's just one iteration of a bunch of quantum mechanics that exist across multiple spectrums. And so in Doom, socialism never works. See, the reason why you say that is because you have a dogmatic belief. Because you don't understand what socialism is. Because you don't understand that what we call socialism is imperfect. Because what happens in the past... Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of a timeout. I really don't like talking about... I really don't like people coming in here with dogmatic beliefs. When you start coming in here talking about God and trying to convert people, I really don't like that. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me, when people come to me and say, hey, have you heard the word? Like, dude, like, if the word was so powerful as you say it is, why do you have to sell it to me? Why do you have to sell it to me? So it's like, just relax. Believe what you want to believe, but, like, I live in a reality, okay? Like, we live in a giant universe where things are floating around and interacting with each other, and, like, things are happening, and we don't know why. And that's okay. And you can think about why, and that is meaningful to you. But when you come to my house and you ask me to join your religion, that's rude, okay? Like, that's rude. Okay, I don't want to join your religion, and I don't want you coming in here to try to convert people, okay? I definitely don't want to hear it. And so it's like, yeah, that's why, 5-minute timeout, okay? Like, don't come in here and try to sell me a religion. That's just, I don't like it on my channel at all. Like, yeah, we can talk a little bit about politics, and politics are similar. Like, don't come in here and try to say, like, hey, Marxist was blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with talking about it a little, but, there's a point where people get a little aggressive, right? Where, like, you start getting into dogmatic ways of thinking. I freaking hate people who go all over Twitter and, like, they basically carry around, a communist manifesto with them everywhere they go, and they try to constantly talk about it. And I'm like, dude, do you want to talk about the fact that you like that book, or do you want to talk about the things that actually are meaningful to people? Which, the things that are meaningful is we exist in a world where there are multiple problems, and we need to solve those problems. And one of those problems is that many people can't afford healthcare. And so, like, there's this profit model that is only helping people line the pockets of like the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies. And it's like, well, what's the point? Lining the pockets of these people or helping people? And you have to ask yourself, if you want to help people, does this really help? No, it hurts. Because so many people, if they get sick, they won't go to the doctor. in this country, in the United States, and in other countries where profit is the main factor. And people will say, and it's like people will defend it to the death, even the people who are affected by it most, because they like this weird idea of picking yourself up by the bootstraps. Like, dude, nobody except for like these top percentage of people, like a very small amount of people, are actually picking themselves up by the bootstraps and profiting. Nobody else is profiting. And this idea that you can just pick yourself up by the bootstraps if you work hard is a lie. Okay? It's just like Twitch streamers. If you put in 8 hours a day of streaming, you're still gonna have like 1 viewer or 0 viewers after like years of work. Okay, so that's not how it works. Okay, like the reason to have socialism is not because it's socialism. The reason to have socialism is if it works. And the thing is like when you say things like socialism doesn't work, you're saying a dogmatic belief. You're saying it doesn't work because it doesn't work and I said so. And that's because in history, anybody who's tried implementing something close to Marxism, like communism in like USSR, it ended up becoming fascism. And the fascism is the problem. And fascism, it's really capitalism pretending to be socialism. So true socialism works. You know, like the COVID vaccine. The COVID vaccine is freely available. And the problem is that people are refusing to take it. And that's the real problem, is that people like fall prey to misinformation. And that's the real pandemic. It's been a pandemic for a long time, and it's the root of pretty much every problem that we have. So until we can solve this misinformation problem, there's going to be racism, there's going to be sexism, there's going to be transphobia and homophobia and xenophobia. Like, oh, you know, it's because people are like, life is a game of football. I'm gonna try to un-time you out. I mean, there's gotta be a button. I don't have the button for it on Chatterino. Anyway, you probably left. Yeah, you were getting a little dogmatic. That's the problem. I really don't like dogmatism. I mean, it's one thing if I say something. I'm the streamer, okay? Like, come on. But like when people start like coming in with saying like, oh, devil is coming, you need to follow the word of God. Okay, I don't really like that. Okay, like I don't want you coming in here talking like that. Like, I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong when people try to force these religious beliefs on people. It's one thing to have these religious beliefs. That's fine. You know, I'm not going to say that, you know, I really do think that a lot of these religions don't really follow the word of the book that they claim to follow. And then it becomes a problem of, you know, just people being dogmatic and hurting people because they're trying to use their religious belief as an excuse to hate people, and it's discriminating people, and it's only hurt people. And yeah, like sometimes some churches happen to help people, and there's very few and far between. I'm sorry, but if a religion only hurts people, then is it really a religion? Like it's just a hate group. And so it's like traditionally it seems that like if a religion is gonna only hurt people, then why are people so into it? Like, I don't know. It's fine if you have religious beliefs. Obviously that would be discrimination and against TOS if I said that, like, all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't have a good relationship with religion. Okay, I'm a trans woman. Okay, like, these people don't want me to exist. They think I'm evil. And if your religion is based on saying what is and isn't evil and shaming people and punishing people, so many people have ended their life or, you know, just gone through a lifetime of pain because of these, it's not really the religion, it's cultural practices surrounding a religion. And so it's not, I honestly think it's being phased out. These beliefs are being phased out. Like honestly, how are we supposed to survive as a species if we're gonna dictate what is and isn't, you know, people just being who we are, which is a natural stage of evolution? You know, gay people and trans people have existed since the beginning of human society. We're not new, okay? Like, we've been around. Like that, like, we exist. And so the only thing that's different is there's certain groups of people who created religious beliefs that surround, that justify their hatred of us. And anyway, I don't want to get too much into it. It's borderline TOS, okay? I just don't think it's very nice, okay? Like, when as soon as somebody says that they're Christian, I immediately think they're gonna hurt me. And that's wrong. The fact that I associate a religious belief with that is something's wrong. Because I've read a lot of the Bible and I agree with a lot of it, but not the parts where it says that you can't be gay or that you can't do this and that, and that, you know, there's parts that say you can, like, you know, beat up your wife or murder your wife. Like, these aren't religious beliefs, these are cultural practices that were written down into a book and passed off as religious beliefs. Spirituality is much simpler and much deeper. It's more internal, it's not external. And many world religions focus on the internal, like Hinduism and Buddhism and, you know, Taoism, and many different religions that focus on self-enlightenment, which self-enlightenment become like, you know, transcendence, where you're going beyond the external world and you're trying to become the pure energy that you are. Like, that's pretty much what true spirituality is. It's not about anyone else. And once you start adding all these rules and all these, like, external things, it goes away from spirituality and becomes cultural dogma. And I don't know. That's really kind of what it boils down to. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna try to write. I mean, I'm literally writing right now. I'm just, like, speaking, but I actually want to, like, type stuff out. I don't know what I'm gonna type. I mean, sometimes I just have to start typing. I don't know, I'm still just kind of shooting the shit. I wanted to eat something, that's what it was. I mean, I'm still talking about this because, and there's a reason why I'm still fixated on this notion of, you know, how the church has hurt me. You know, it's like from a very young age, I was, like, told that there's certain ways of doing things that are right and certain ways of doing things that are wrong, and those things were forced on me. And I didn't have a family that went to church, but the communities that that I live in are basically church communities, and they're primarily white communities. And it sucks. Like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, why do you, like, have to go to this building every week? Why do you have to, like, match the behavior that they expect from you, or they're gonna, like, why do you care so much? You're going against your instincts for what? Like a sense of community? Why do you want to be a part of a community that's gonna, as soon as you do something they don't like, they're gonna like excommunicate you or whatever? If you're gay, they call you a sinner and they shame you for who you are. Like, and then also these communities are also usually racist. And yeah, there's all, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of like bullshit going on growing up for me, and it's like, you know, anytime my family was watching TV, they'd be like, oh, you know, those, you know, anytime something like, you know, they, you know, it's basically TV is kind of a religion. It's fucked up because it's like the media would like portray being gay as some kind of punchline, as some kind of joke, or it's disgusting. Like it's something that like anytime something happened on TV, like my family would react to it in a very negative way, and it trained me to think that. And also, especially trans women, anytime somebody would like, or even like just gender fluid or just, you know, cross-dressing, like anytime somebody dressed up like a man in a dress, it's like, oh, that's weird, that's wrong. It's so fucked up. Like, and there was a time, like, after you know, my family, after I don't know, I don't remember if it was before or after I came out as trans, but I think it was when I was still closeted, like, and I hadn't told anybody. But there was like this news anchor that came out, that eventually came out. I think she died, but it was released that like she was assigned male at birth. And then my mom was like, oh, she's actually a man. I'm like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Like, I'm so tired of it. Like, my own family, like my own parents, you know, my dad's changed a lot. He's understood a lot more. I really don't think they truly understand. I think they think it's to like appease me. And that's the whole thing is like, dude, I'm not a man pretending to be a woman. I am a woman. Okay? And it's like, they say and do things to try to like not upset me, and I feel like this is the huge problem with a lot of people, and yeah, it's good that people are at least trying, but I think that people don't really understand what gender is. It's not this like rigid thing, it's bimodal. Like there's these two things that'll never exist, which are like masculine and feminine, and you know, there's like whatever we are in between. And that can depend on the person and also their culture and also like many different things. And it really doesn't matter except to the individual. So it's like, why are people so obsessed with it? It's so freaking weird. It's just infuriating. It's infuriating that people in my life had so much control over what I said and did and what I even thought. And, you know, especially since because it's like it's because of TV. And I don't know, because of my own parents, mostly my mom's homophobia and transphobia and racist beliefs, which she doesn't admit, but she does have them. She's scared of black people. Like she's like the stereotypical like white woman that clutches her purse when a black guy enters the elevator. That's fucked up. Like where the fuck is this coming from? Where is this even coming from? Like come on. Somebody's skin does not have to be white for you to accept them as a person. Like why do you associate, like in fact there's a lot of bad people who are white. Like geez, like somebody's color of their skin is literally just the color of their skin, and their cultural background and their you know ethnic background, like that's just it doesn't like why is that like make you like okay with one person and afraid of another person? It's so fucked up. I mean, open yourself up a little bit. They're like different possibilities. And you know what the problem is this, I don't know if I'm not going to speak for Kiwi Uko, but usually when people get like timed out and stuff for talking about like, oh, you know, we're all just God's creatures, whatever. And it sounds like, and I usually put a stop to it because I kind of know where it's gonna go, where somebody's gonna be like, you need to read the Bible, and if you're a sinner and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that wasn't where they were going. I don't know. And I'm sorry, but that's kind of how it goes sometimes on Twitch. You just gotta time people out or ban them. I don't know. Whatever, there's more where that came from, and if you can't accept that, then I don't know if you can handle my community anyway. If you can't handle, like, it's discussion. Okay, like somebody timing you out or banning, or obviously banning you is different, but if somebody like tells you something is wrong, it doesn't mean that you're canceled. Okay, like it means that like, hey, here's something that you're doing which is making me uncomfortable. Oh, I didn't think about it that way. Maybe I can try to change my behavior. Oh no, I'm just, you don't have to like completely stop doing it. Oh, it's like, it's fine. And then you kind of meet people like where they are at and you continue to move forward. It's a discussion. And so many people, especially people who are like cisgender and like try to be allies to trans people, as soon as you say something, they think that you're trying to cancel them. And yeah, and the problem is a lot of people on Twitter in the trans community, which I have a huge problem with this huge problem. There's a huge fucking problem of people on Twitter just trying to cancel people. Okay? And I'm so tired of it. But, they're making us look bad. But at the same time, like, when somebody says something that offends them, when somebody says something that offends you, it works both ways. You kind of have to say, hey, what you said is problematic. It doesn't mean, hey, you're problematic because you said that. It's like, you said a problematic thing, where are you going to go from here? If you continue to say problematic things over and over and over, that's a little different than if you accidentally say a problematic thing and you're like, oh, wow, like, maybe I should look into it. Like, maybe I should learn a little bit more about, like, what trans people go through on a day-to-day basis. Instead of just getting defensive and saying, I'm not being transphobic. It's like, dude, saying the thing isn't what makes you transphobic. It's your actions that make you transphobic. And if you continue to just defend yourself, you're kind of enabling transphobia. So it's like that, there's like, obviously I'm not perfect. Even just because I'm trans doesn't make me like an expert on what is and isn't transphobic, but I know a lot about what it is like to be trans, and I know what hurts me, and I know from experience and talking to other trans people what hurts them. And there's certain things that are more harmful to us than it would be to anyone else. There's a reason why we have the highest rate of suicide. And there's just certain things about gender dysphoria that most people will never understand. Even I don't really understand my dysphoria, for the most part. Like, I understand what hurts me, but I don't understand where it comes from. And obviously, I might never understand. But the thing is like, this is why, like, conversion therapy doesn't work. It's because this is just who I am. You can't change who you are. You're either cisgender, you're transgender, you're whatever, in between, like, whatever. And the thing is that there's a reason. People will argue like, oh, but if somebody has like a different kind of thing, we don't like enable it. And it's like people who are TERFs and who are transphobic, and just don't like say everything to try to say that I am not the gender I know I am. They'll try to say things like, oh, but if somebody has like a body image issue, or if they're like bulimic or anorexic, we don't enable that. It's like, well, that's because that's a problem that's actually hurting them. But the thing that's hurting me is the dysphoria. And the way to alleviate the dysphoria is to transition. And people don't really understand that everything has nuance. Being trans is different than being anorexic. There are two things where there's a body image issue, but one of these things is damaging, like the dysphoria is damaging, whereas the anorexia is damaging. Like, people don't, like, they're both damaging, but in order to do this one, you have to say, hey, like, you're trans. Like, you should probably think about how you're best going to alleviate that dysphoria, not try to get rid of it by ignoring it or by trying to, like, just be okay with it. Okay? Like, I mean, obviously that's going to hurt a lot. And that's why there's such a high suicide rate, is because the rest of society, like a large influential part of society, is constantly tell us that we're wrong for being who we are. And that's why the suicide rate is so high, which it's already really debilitating by itself. And then you add this a layer of like this giant shame that people put on us and these expectations that people put on us. And if you take that away, this is still hard, okay? Like, it's hard enough, you know, but like, at least stop doing this thing where you crush us. Jeez. It's ridiculous. And then you wonder why people hurt themselves. And then they use that as an example. Oh, well, you know, look at the suicide rate of trans people. There must be something wrong with it. And it's not, no, it's because of you. You're the problem. Jesus Christ, dude. You're the problem. You're the reason why people are feeling like they need to hurt themselves. Because if you accepted them for who they are and just said, hey, like, I don't understand what you feel, but I'm going to try to help you go through what you're going through. And try to support you as a member of the community because you are valid just because you're different than me. And that goes beyond gender. That goes beyond... That should be the goal. Is just because we're different doesn't mean we don't have the same goals. And how we achieve those goals is going to be different depending on our needs and depending on our background, depending on our culture. But like, there's no one way to be a human being, but there is a common goal that we all have, which is survival and thriving, like living life to our fullest, achieving our potential, expanding our reality, not limiting our reality, expanding our reality. Saying, hey, like, there's a lot of things about the universe that we don't understand. Why would we limit ourselves to this small little area of thinking where it's like, oh, you have to be white, you have to be cisgender. In fact, these people will say there's no such thing as cisgender. There's only one way to exist, and that you have to be hetero. And it's like, why is your sexual orientation the center of your identity? Like, why is it so important whether or not, like, who you have sex with? What about people who don't have sex? Why is it seen as, like, a meaningful way of existence? Our culture and our society isn't based on just procreation. Okay? We've evolved. Not everybody needs to procreate. In fact, if everybody procreated, we would have overpopulation. And we would run out of resources. And in fact, our survivable... People who are gay or trans, we're a natural stage of evolution, in order to limit the procreation. And people who are asexual. The reason why we exist is natural. And in fact, it does happen in nature where some species, we observe them. If there's overpopulation, some members of the environment won't procreate. It's natural selection, okay? If we overpopulate, we're going to run out of resources. If we increase the resources, more people are going to procreate. But the thing is our evolution has given us thumbs, opposable thumbs, and the innate need to utilize, to have a brain that analyzes the environment and sees what we need. And there will be a point where we go beyond our biology, and we've already reached that point. We are already cyborgs. The fact that I'm here on stream talking to a camera where people can see me and interact with me, that's something that is not natural. Okay, I am a cyborg. You are too. You have a phone that you use. That's a tool that you've extended from your biology. So eventually we'll be able to figure out how to procreate without having sex. Like, that's what we're gonna do. And then sex becomes something else. It becomes something that we enjoy doing to make us feel like we can survive, because survival becomes something different. If the environment doesn't kill us, and we don't need to do all these different things to survive, then survival becomes something different. It becomes, how do we live fulfilling lives? How do we enrich our community? How do we become the best versions of ourselves we can? And that's why so many people are depressed. It's because we're trying to meet, like, we're trying to, like, we've already met a lot of our basic needs. And as even though I'm in poverty, I'm still better off than human beings like 20,000 years ago or whatever, who were like living in a cave or whatever. Like, I literally can go to the store and get a microwave dinner, put it in a microwave, and have food. I don't have to go hunt down a freaking boar. Somebody does. Somebody raises them, livestock. Somebody cultivates land and creates crops. But that's a different reason, because that's production of a resource, which we can actually automate eventually. And, you know, it's getting there. We're getting to a point where we're not going to have scarcity anymore. And then we have to really ask ourselves, like, why are we putting so much effort into what we call profit, when the real profit is lifting up the human species and getting rid of all these fascist beliefs of oppressing people so that we can rise? You don't need to make other people suffer in order to profit. Okay, everybody can profit. And I don't know, it's this whole idea, and how to achieve that goal is the challenge. And if you can figure that out, you'll get a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever. So we better get cracking. I mean, I don't know. I believe we all play a part in it. We really all do. We all play a part in trying to help humanity. In fact, the whole idea of gender is only a cultural construct anyway. We are who we are, and how we want to present ourselves is how we want to present ourselves. I want to present myself as feminine with, you know, traditionally. Obviously, if you're cisgender, you let your biology do that for you. But we have the ability to change that up. We can, like, change the hormones, because your biology starts a chain of hormones. But as human beings, we have the ability to alter our environment. And some people will say, oh, that goes against God. If we can do it, how is it against God? Like there's a reason why we feel the need to do these things, why we create cars, why we create other tools that we use, why we created computers. It's not a waste of time. And I'm so sick and tired of people saying, like, video games are a waste of time. There's a reason why they exist. And there's a reason beyond profit. Because obviously profit is the motivation for a lot of people, but it creates oppressive practices. And so that eventually hurts people, and it is hurting people. And so we kind of have to take a step back and say, hey, like, why don't we change things? Why don't we, like, change how we think things, instead of just going blindly into, oh, that's just the way it is, we should just accept it. Like, no, why don't you just, like, take a break and just, like, discuss with all the world leaders what we need to do moving forward. And that's what's happening in the United Nations in New York right now. That's like, like, that's what's happening. It's been happening since the pandemic hit. We're in this stage right now. We're in a transitionary stage right now in human society. And maybe many people have noticed it, but I think a lot of people don't really see it. Like, we are in this transition right now, where we're saying there's a point where we could either keep doing what we've been doing and destroy our society and destroy our species, or we can say, hey, we need to take a step back. Why are we doing all these things? Like, why are people succumbing to misinformation, even against things that are literally killing more people than World War II? Than people who have died in World War II. And, like, you know, we ended a 20-year war in Afghanistan. Like, and then people actually want us to be there. Like, what is going on in people's minds that they want things that kill our species? There must be a reason. And the reason is because people are afraid and they just want basic survival. But survival is this unachievable thing. So why don't we focus on that survival instead? Say, hey, like, we can have robots build stuff in outer space and send them back to Earth, and we don't have any resource problems anymore. We could grow crops in outer space. We could synthesize food. And we could bring it back to Earth and provide it to everybody. But, like, there's this ancient idea of if you didn't work for it, you don't deserve it. Did you, let me ask you, if you go to the store and you get a steak, did you raise a cattle? Did you slay that animal? Did you chop it up? No. Like, you just went to the store and you picked up the end result. So how is that any different than an organization creating as many resources as the planet needs and providing it to everyone? And then, you know, like, it's gonna happen, you guys, and we need to be ready for it. Because if we're not ready for it, people are gonna get depressed and there's gonna be chaos and people are gonna try to fill in that void through violence. And more people are gonna get hurt. Hey, Set. But we have the power to have more, just take a step back. We have the ability to analyze ourselves and not just blindly go out in the world and just consume shit. Like, is there a reason why people need to, like, go out there and just, like, scream at people? Like, for no reason, just because somebody's telling you to wear a mask? Like, there's a reason why people are having you wear a mask. It's because there's a deadly virus that's killing more people every day than, like, any other pandemic we've had. Or whatever. I don't know the numbers, okay? Fact check me, okay? Jeez. Look at facts. Don't look at, like, some Facebook post that you saw. Okay? But I mean, we're going through a transitionary period right now, where there's people who are doubling down on the archaic beliefs, and there's people who are progressing beyond it. And I'm sorry, but the progressives are gonna win. We are winning. We're changing things right now, and it's really painful because a lot of people are getting hurt in the process. And there's people in the highest forms of government who are trying to take us backwards, who refuse to change, who are actively hurting people, trying to instate practices that have only hurt people, that are controlling people's bodies, like with the anti-abortion laws and stuff like that. And it's just frustrating how so many people are, like, crashing head first into destroying our species. And it's just like, how are we supposed to reach these people? How do I reach these kids? Oh my god. And that's pretty much what, you know, it's been my life goal since I was, like, very young, so like 5 years old. And as time has gone on, and I've noticed how shitty people are, because people have treated me like shit, and also I've seen other people treat other people like shit, and even I've treated people like shit because I was treated like shit, and so I treated like people like shit. I've noticed this from a very young age, and I was tired of it, but I tried fighting back and I got punished. because I thought it was stupid that we're forced to go to a building for 8 hours a day, like forced. Young children forced to sit in a desk looking up to a teacher with a chalkboard for 8 hours a day. And if you don't want to be there, you're going to get punished. Like that's ridiculous. And not everybody learns the same way. It's really ancient and archaic. You know, shouldn't people be able to learn at their own pace? And like yeah, obviously, you know, the whole idea of like, you know, having a general education is kind of ancient. Like, why do we need to know every single subject? Why can't we just like learn about the world at our own pace? If you want to learn about history, go learn history. Like, and if people want to teach it, then you should teach it without forcing them. Just make it in their interest, right? Is this Shenmue music? Shenmue? I think it is Shenmue. Perhaps they're out. Knock on the door, wait 1 second, and then say perhaps they're out. Yeah, it's Shenmue. I really loved Shenmue. I tried, you know, I played Shenmue 2 for the most part. I didn't finish it. It was Shenmue 2 and Shenmue 3 put into one. I really liked the game. It got a little bit more confusing when it was Shenmue 2, when you're in China. It's a little bit more confusing. It was a lot different than the first one. The first one was like just a local little town. This is the last start. And you could get a Sega Saturn, but it played like arcade games. It like played like Sega Genesis games. It's one of your favorite games. I really like it. It was a huge part of my childhood. And my brother would play it, and me and my siblings. Like, I don't want to talk too much about other people, but, you know, because they don't consent really. But, you know, I can say a little bit. You know, a lot of people talk about their family. Yeah, I like how it's set in a town in Japan, and it's very localized. In China, it was like this town, but it was like, it was just a lot. It was a lot bigger. It felt a lot bigger. And it got a little bit hard to know what's going on. But I like Shenmue because it was really the first one, because it was really focused. Yeah. But yeah, like me and my brother and my sister, we were kind of like surviving together. Because everybody else in our family, like my oldest brother was in the military and he was just gone. You know, he was just out over, you know, in Afghanistan, actually, and all that kind of stuff. You know, fighting the war that we recently ended after 20 years. Jeez. I don't want to get too much into his career. I mean, there's only so much I know, but like, I don't want to, you know, dox him and all that. Obviously, it's a need to know basis kind of thing, and that, I don't know, it's one of those things. So if I do know information, it's still not complete information, but I'm not gonna dox him. But like, you know, me and my other brother and my sister, we were like survivors, and we all survived differently. My brother worked and he took care of us, where my mom refused. You know, she just only screamed at us and just sat on the phone in her room all day while my brother paid the bills. And I think he really resents her for that. And then I was just like, you know, I was just playing video games. And I stayed home from school so I could play video games. And if I'm going to be real, it was so I could watch porn. Because nobody was home. And if I couldn't watch, and the only computer we had was in the family room. And so, like, in the living room. And so if I wanted to watch porn when other people were there, like, well, they would know. And the whole idea is like, why is there this huge shaming? Like, if you watch porn, if your parents find out, they like punish you. Like, what the fuck? Like, it makes you feel a lot of shame about your body. And people don't really understand that. Like, it's completely natural. You're exploring your feelings and what makes you feel good. It's healthy. But then so many people like shame their kids for like exploring their bodies. There was a Reddit post of like a dad who like grounded his daughter for trying to order like a vibrator on Amazon. And like made a Reddit post, am I the asshole? And it's like, obviously everyone was like, yeah, you're a fucking asshole, dude. You're making your kid feel shame about doing something that's completely natural. And it's the same idea of like people shaming people for being gay or people shaming people for being trans. Like, I can't help the fact that I am this way. I was born like this. Like, this is something that's just who I am. And it's like people just like want to control you. They want to put you in this school where you sit for 8 hours a day from a young child without your consent. Your parents just put you there. And I think a lot of parents just treat it like a daycare. They just don't want to take care of their kids. Like, dude, like, there's other ways to handle this problem. If you don't want your kids bothering you during the day, then, you know, maybe invest in daycare. Don't invest in like some kind of like ancient system that just oppresses people, forces them to learn in a way that doesn't work for them. Because some people can't learn that way. It's too boring. You have to be able to like go out and play and then come back and learn. Like, maybe like I learn from books. Okay, if I read a book, that's how I learn. And then I end up practicing it and stuff like that. But they wanted me to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day and interact with other, like do whatever bullshit they wanted me to do, all these activities, because they're, oh, we're trying to teach this. It's like, I don't need that. Okay, like that's just hurting me because I was undiagnosed at the time as autistic, and that hurts me. And I got punished for it. Because I didn't fit into their little teeny tiny restricted idea of what it means to be a person. And so many other kids have gone, you know, I'm not the only person who's gone through this. Like, many different people have gone through the school system this way. Like, people who are neurodivergent in any kind of way. Different needs. I didn't need to learn by interacting in a classroom. Like, I just didn't. Just give me a book, and I wanted to learn it. But then over time, I just started getting punished for being smart. Like, I stopped wanting to do homework because it's like, why am I doing this homework? I've already learned the material. You want me to just prove to you that I read the book? What the hell is the point of that? And I understand there's a lot of students out there that need that. And sometimes I want that that group activity as well, but I should be able to opt into that, not be forced to do that. And obviously the whole education model has been evolving. It's changing. But it's like, why is it dying so hard? Why can't people just accept it? That some people are different. Like, why do you have to continually die on that hill? That this is the only way of doing things, and if you don't do that, then it's because you're lazy. And it's like, so frustrating, and it's hurt me my entire life. And I'm sorry for getting angry so often about it, but it's something that hurts me to this day. That, like, the world wants me to be a certain way, and because I can't meet it, I get punished. Instead of the world trying to meet me halfway. Like, why can't you just let people have nice things? Like, why do I have to, like, go through all this pain and suffering just to have, like, a place to live and just to eat? Like, why do you have to, like, prove to someone that you're worthy of it? Like, dude, I'm alive. I didn't choose to be alive. Why can't we just, like, enjoy the time we have? And then obviously, you know, people say, oh, but, you know, where does it come from? Who's paying for it? Most of the food that you buy is not worth what you're paying for it. Somebody's profiting a lot. And you know, like, I mean, it's dying really hard right now, and pandemic really forced a lot of things. And people are noticing that, like, hey, like, why am I going to an office when I can work from home? Why are they forcing me to go into an office? Why are they forcing me to wear a suit and tie? Why, like, you can do your job in your freaking pajamas. And I'm so sick and tired of all these companies, like, forcing you to put webcams, and you have to always be in the dress code. Like, for what reason? Other than just forcing people to, you know, just, you have to show them that you're in control. Like, what the fuck, dude? You got some problems. Like, seriously, if you need that to feel good about yourself, that has nothing to do with your business. The only thing that matters is doing the work. How people do that work should not be, like, micromanaged by you. Like, if people aren't doing the work, that's different. But if people are doing the work, why does it matter if they're wearing a suit and tie? Or like a business, like business clothes. Like a business, like, I don't know what to call, what's the word for, like, women's business clothes? I don't know. People usually say a suit and tie because usually men are the ones who are in control there. What do you do for work? I am permanently disabled. Hey, Dax. Pantsuits? No, I mean, like, I don't know. I think it's just business attire. I think that's... But I mean, the fact that, like, if it's not man, we use gender neutral, that's kind of like a weird thing. Yeah, one of the big buttons is when the fact that you ask me what I do for work, and obviously I don't know your intention, so I'm not trying to say that you're, like, being rude or whatever. What I'm saying is, like, generally when people ask that, the fact that that's the first thing that you said, and I'm trying to make a point here, the fact that that's the very first thing that you said when you came in, like, why is that important? Why is what I do for work more important than just me being a person? If that makes any sense. I'm not accusing you of anything. I hope you don't see it that way. I'm just trying to make a point. Like, why is it so important? Like, if somebody says that they do, like, you know, if they're like a garbage, if they like work a garbage truck, or if somebody else is like a stockbroker, but then some people will hear that somebody's like a business person or like a stockbroker or something, they see that as somehow more important than this. And in fact, this job is just as important, if not more important, than this other job. Because garbage needs to be collected. But people hear that they're a garbage man or a garbage woman, garbage collector or whatever, and they say, oh, well, that's not a prestigious job. It's like, dude, like, why is that important? That's the wrong way to look at things. It's ancient and, like, it's draconian. It has nothing to do with survival. In fact, it's hurting a lot of people. Yeah, I was talking about working from home. I'm permanently disabled. I'm trying to get on SSI. I'm able to make money if I do not safe for work content, but it gives me extreme mental anguish. And my therapist I've been talking about it with my therapist for a while. And if it's gonna hurt my mental health, then it's probably not something I should do if it's gonna affect me this negatively, which it does. Because the fact that I'm constantly worried about it, but I'm worried about money. And I don't know how I'm gonna make money, and I'm running out of money. And so that's why I'm so stressed out about it, because the only way I can make money is doing content that makes me feel extremely, like, extreme mental anguish. Because sometimes I like doing it. I have a little bit of a kink. But sometimes I don't want to do it. Sometimes I just like, hey, like, I don't want to have to be forced to do something just because I need money. And so it's like, the thing is like nothing else. And here's the problem. It's because this kind of content, I don't need somebody to give me that work. I have the ability to make that work happen whenever I want. But other kinds of work that will make similar or even more money, or like, you know, most things will not make that kind of money. I'm really good at that kind of content, by the way. And that's what makes it so painful, is that I'm extremely good at it, even without trying. Like, I can make I could make thousands of dollars a month if I really wanted to. I would be freaking rolling in cash. But at the cost of my mental health, which is the most important thing for me right now, especially during this time that I'm trying to, you know, transition medically, and I've been transitioning socially. When I'm going through like the most critical moment of my life and trying to like stay alive. And if I go through mental anguish, that's gonna diminish my survivability, you know, for mental health. It might give me money, but it's gonna worsen my depression. And I desperately want to live. I don't want to do anything that causes me to feel like I don't belong on this planet. That I only have value because of my body. That I don't have any other value to the world. And just talking about it gives me some mental anguish. Just thinking about how, like, this is the only thing that can make me money right now. And anything else, I have to prove to people that they're worth giving me money. Because I can't just go online and do the kind of work that I'm able to do. Like, I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. This is what I'm able to do. Is show up in front of a camera and talk about shit. And, like, you know, write words into a document. And play music on you know, music performance on like saxophone and stuff, or play chess and teach chess. But in order to make money with those things, you have to like convince people to give you a chance, and I can't do that because of autistic issues, or at least I'm working on it, and it's extremely ineffective at the moment. Do you busk at all? I'm never gonna busk. Honestly, I've talked about this before, but streaming on Twitch is like the worst way to grow, and busking is even worse than that, because you're at a local level and people generally don't give money to buskers. And I'm gonna ask you, when's the last time you gave money to somebody playing an instrument on the street corner? And maybe you have, I don't know you, but there's a point I'm trying to make, okay? People don't busk to make money. They busk because they want to practice and have an audience, and they want to get used to that. That's the reason to busk. And yeah, some people can make money off of it, especially if they go like to a really populous area like San Francisco or something. Yeah, I'm saying you, but you are a small example of the general public. So for you, you're a musician and you've busked and you've given, like, that's different. But you have to realize you're one person out of like thousands and thousands of people who don't. Yeah, I mean, it's not fun though. It's not fun. If I want to play music, I want to play with people in a venue that has been agreed upon. Like, in order to get to that point though, you have to actually convince people to do that, and it's so much harder to make money that way than it is to just go online and do some not safe for work camming. Because I'm able to do that, and I can immediately be making money. I could be doing that right now instead of doing what I'm doing, except I don't want to do it. And I don't want that to define my career. And it just makes me feel like I'm only valued because of my body. And a whole other things I don't even need to, you know, I don't need to justify it. It's my body. But it just sucks because I have no other way of making money. And I'm absolutely scared for my life. Because the one person who was giving me money each month stopped giving me money. And now I'm down to like less than, like around $500, like somewhere around $500. More or less. And I have bills to pay that they're not that much, but like it will run out. And then like what if my dad can't pay rent anymore? And then what if I lose where I'm living, which is already like a shithole? And I was talking to my therapist yesterday, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because the work that I'm able to do doesn't give me money, and the only work that gives me money is something that I could barely even mentally handle. My dad works, yeah, and he loves his job. But like, what if he gets sick and he can't work anymore and I can't pay rent? And these are very real fears, okay? These aren't irrational. And I'm scared. I don't know how I'm gonna make money. And the only thing that I can do is almost impossible to make money doing. Like writing and playing music and streaming and maybe making YouTube content or playing chess. And it's just getting so, I'm getting so exhausted to the point where I don't even know what to do on stream anymore. Because I just don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to like sit down and write on a document, but I haven't really been feeling up to that either. Everyone in my family knows the situation, Dax. I can't work. I'm autistic and I have multiple like diagnosed. I'm diagnosed on the spectrum, and I have multiple diagnoses for mental illness. I have depression, anxiety, PTSD, agoraphobia, and I'm not saying this to define who I am based on my mental challenges. I'm just saying this because that's the fact, and it directly affects my ability to earn an income. And part of it is like the depression and the anxiety and the PTSD is what's preventing me from doing the not safe for work. It's just the same problem. It's actually obviously some of it is because of the nature of the work, because it's like personal and that. But honestly, if I'm going to be real with you, it's the same exact problem. Even like just working at like Burger King, it's the same exact problem. Working when somebody is forcing me to work. It's the same problem I had in school that I was talking about a little earlier. I missed so many days of school in high school, like hundreds of days. I missed hundreds of days of school throughout my school career because they wanted me to show up 5 days a week for 8 hours a day. And I couldn't do it. I was just like, I'm just gonna stay in bed because I can't get out of bed today. And I'm just gonna play video games because what's the point of going to school? The teachers are gonna give me a gold star because I because I read a book? like what the hell? Like they give you all this busy work for what? So they can train you to be an obedient slave to someone who's making millions of dollars while you're making like pennies? Like, what the fuck, dude? Why do people continue to feed into this? Like, what the hell? Like, how did this even happen? Why haven't people people have been tired of it for a very long time, but they're like, oh, that's just the way things are. But that's why it continues to happen, because obviously if people don't like put an end to it, they're gonna keep utilizing it and taking advantage of you. And that's what's changing right now is the pandemic. Is people are forced to either like just not be able to work, or they have to work from home, and then people are questioning like, hey, like why do I have to go to the office? I'm not going to go back after I can. Or they quit their job and it's like it's this whole thing that's changing right now, and it's really like taking a while, but I feel like it's gonna completely change. And some people are very like pessimistic about it. They're like, oh, it's never gonna change. Like, well, you can't have that attitude either. That's how we got here in the first place. We have to fight for it. It's not gonna be easy, okay? Like, but enough people right now are seeing the reality. You kind of have to like jolt people away from what they think is comfortable, because you can be comfortable with something, but it can still be hurting you. Because like, let's say you like break your arm or something. Well, if I hold it this way, it doesn't hurt. But it might hurt you in the long run because it heals wrong. And then you're stuck with like you're stuck with a permanently like a permanently messed up arm. And so like, just because something feels comfortable doesn't mean it's good for you. In fact, sometimes things that are good for you are painful. Like mental health, like going to therapy is really painful. I cry like every day. But the thing is like it would be a problem if I wasn't crying. If I wasn't paying attention to the things that I need to pay attention to. And that's how so many people go through their life. Is they think that just because everything seems fine, because they're able to go to work, because they're able to function, quote unquote, that it must be fine and they don't need to do anything. But they're complacent and they're comfortable. That doesn't mean that they're doing that. Eventually that comes crashing down, and you'll see that in the rise of like depression. That people who have good paying jobs have like some of the highest rates of depression. Because they're so focused on the appearance of healthy. They think that if they don't need to go to therapy, that means they're fine. And the whole fact that people think that they need to avoid therapy in order to be considered normal, whatever that means, is a huge problem. Like, it's okay to be ugly every now and then. It's okay to cry. And obviously people are just trying to work in the system that's built for them, where it's like, oh, if you show any sign of weakness, then you know you're not going to get any opportunities. And yeah, I guess I'm a prime example of that. I've suffered my entire life because I don't fit that standard that people expect from me. Like people want me to act a certain way, and because I speak my mind, and because I don't put up with people's bullshit, I get punished for it. I get denied opportunities. Oh yeah, sorry, we're not hiring right now. Why'd you have a fucking sign that says now hiring, you fucking asshole? Jeez. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. Like, why don't you just say what you mean, you jerk? You don't want to hire me because I don't fit your standard. Why don't you tell me what you really think, instead of just saying, oh, I'm sorry, but we're not hiring at this time. Screw that. I'm so like that shit is dying. That shit is gonna die hard. Especially like the Zoomers. Like I'm a millennial, like we've already been tired of it, but the Zoomers are like having none of it. They're like, why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? You're stupid. Okay, boomer. Like because they're born into a world where they're like, well, there's no reason for me to do what you're asking me to do. And because they see the reality, you're making people be busy just for the sake of being busy. It has absolutely no purpose except to make people like stressed out. You are always angry? No, I'm not. I don't think anybody can always be angry, Apollo Go. Jeez. What do you think angry is? You mean I'm fed up with shit? That's not angry. Well, I mean, I guess that's angry, but... I mean, it's because more people like me need to exist in order for change to happen. People who see things for what they are and calling people out on it. Saying, hey, like, why do I have to... When I was a kid, they force you to go to a building 8 hours a day, sit in a desk, and be quiet. Every single day, and if you don't show up, or if you don't behave, you get punished. It's absolutely insane. Not everybody can function that way. Some people need space. Some people need time to rest and play. In fact, people are more productive that way. Why are people thinking about like, oh, well, this is what we want. Well, what about it? What actually works? Just because it doesn't aesthetically look like what you want, you know, you can, you know, cause and effect is what's important. Like, if you do something and it has a result, the result is what matters. And obviously the way you do it matters, because like sometimes the way you do things can have negative results. But I'm just extremely afraid for my life because I don't know how to make money. except for the one thing that I can do, which is not safe for work content that causes me extremely emotional and mental health distress, which is detrimental to me in the long term. That's gonna, I'm trying to get out of that. And obviously getting money might help, but if I undo everything that I've worked hard to correct, to actually focus on my mental health and become a better and stronger human being, then what is it worth? But at the same time, I need money. And I don't expect anyone online to give me money. That's not what I'm not begging for money. I'm just saying, like, in my life, I need to be able to make money, but convincing people to give me work that I can handle is almost impossible. But there's one line of work where I don't need to do that. And I wish everything was like that. I wish I could just show up and then do my thing, whatever that is, and get paid for it. But with that kind of work, it's a lot easier because I'm apparently really good at it. But why does that have to be the only thing that I can make money with? And obviously my therapist will be like, and my case manager will say things like, that's not the only thing you can make money with. And I'm like, yeah, you say that, but that's the only thing that's working. Because I've tried everything else. I've tried the burger flipping job. I've tried the retail job. I've tried the chess teaching job. None of them made nearly enough money, and they were all causing me similar mental anguish. Because it's not necessarily the work itself, it's just the fact that I have to be on somebody else's time. And that I can't make money unless I fulfill their needs. And that's the same problem with the not safe for work stuff. It's like, if I don't show up, I don't make money. And so that means I have to continually show up. And I can't always do that because of mental anguish. And that's the problem. It's like, maybe I can do it like 1 or 2 days when it feels good to do it. When I feel like I enjoy it. And then the rest of the month, I'm just like unable to do it. Because I know that it's going to hurt me. And the same thing happened with my Taco Bell and Burger King jobs. I'm like, I can't show up to work today. Well, I'm sorry, but you can't have a job anymore. And now you took away my only source of income, and you're going to make it harder for me to get more income because now I can't use them as a reference. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, and I'm trying to get SSI, but I want to function. I want to be a meaningful member of society. I don't want to just be a leech. I want to be able to create something of value for people, but people are not giving me those opportunities because I can't match their perfect little version of what they need because I have autism issues. Autism issues. I said it weird. I said autism. Because, I mean, I have autism issues. And I don't fit what people want because I can't conform. No matter how hard I try, it's only going to hurt me when I do. And that means I can't do it because I already know based on my history what works and what doesn't for my mental health. Yeah, I mean, the United States is fucked up, and I happen to be in California, so I'm a little bit better off. And like I said, you know, my transition related care, 100% paid for. But I'm still afraid that it's going to be taken away from me. And until I get the surgeries that I need, I'm constantly on edge that somebody's going to steal it from me. And I'm going to have to, like, you know, it's going to take even longer to get it. And it's like I'm running on empty. But I still show up anyway. That's why I came to the stream today. It's like I said, I could have just stayed in bed and just played on my phone and just, you know, went on Discord and just complained on Discord. Like I usually do. But instead I showed up and I'm sitting in my chair and I'm doing what I can, which is like talk to a camera. And unfortunately that rarely works out for people for a living. And that's what makes it so painful, is the things that I can do don't earn me money, and the things that earn me money are things that I can't do. And thank you, Seth. I mean, at the root of it all, more important than anything, more important than earning money, is getting my transition-related care, the surgeries that I need. And I do have the consultation in February for facial surgery, and I don't know how soon I'll get consultation for bottom surgery, but I'm just really hoping it's soon. I'm running on empty, and I'm exhausted, and I can barely even do anything anymore. And I'm trying so hard to get things done. You know, I've been working on some writing. I haven't been doing it today because I've been streaming, but I mean, sometimes I can do it on stream. Sometimes I just feel like talking, and that's fine. I mean, it's streaming. I can literally do whatever I want within TOS, but like, you know, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of how I run my stream, and it literally doesn't matter. Streaming is not my growth strategy, because it just doesn't work. That's not how streaming works. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do to grow. Hey Jess, you're nice to listen to. Yeah, I mean, I'm able to, you know, I watched yesterday's stream. It's actually it's a lot different when I'm doing it. Like when I'm actually here and talking, it feels really meaningless. It feels like I'm not doing anything, and it feels like I'm a problem. It feels like I'm making people uncomfortable. And then later when I watch it, I'm like, hey, like, this isn't so bad. Like, this is actually very easy to listen to. And I need to remember that. I think somebody told me once, I had like an hour-long video. I've basically been like a streamer for a very long time, since like 2011. When I started making YouTube. It's an old channel. I haven't deleted the channel, but it's under my dead name, so it's like I have two different channels. I had a channel that was like more like kind of like a user, like an anonymous username kind of thing. And then I had a channel that I used under my dead name, and I changed it to my real name. And now I have my main channel that's under my real name, and now it's my legal name. So but you know, like there was a channel I made I made a lot of videos. They didn't get much views, but I made a lot of videos. And I was basically doing what I'm doing now. But it was back like when I was kind of homeless. Like in 2010, like 2011, it was in this in-between time where I lived with my mom for a bit. And I was making videos like on my phone or on my laptop webcam. Whatever, I don't remember. But I was making videos for YouTube, and one of them, I don't know, one of these was 2013 when I was living in my friend's parents' garage. And I remember sending it to a person that I was like gonna help with like her Spanish homework, like helping her like stay on task and help study. She was gonna pay me. She weaseled out of paying me. Because she's like, oh, well, you didn't really do anything. And I'm like, really? I spent like hours of my time talking to you. She's like, oh, well, we didn't really agree on that. You were going to help me with my homework. And I'm like, well, that's part of it. And it's like, whatever. I don't, you know, I was desperately trying to make money so I could pay rent. And then I got angry about it. And then I ended up being really frustrated, and I yelled at her. And I'm like, well, I'm desperately trying to make rent, and I'm yelling at a person because of it. And it's frustrating. I am trying to write a book about my life, but I'm still in it, and it's really hard to write about it while I'm in it. And I'm kind of just documenting it right now. I'm collecting notes because I'm not really into a place where I feel like I can really look back. Because I'm still in it. I'm in a weird like kind of transitionary stage. Like not just my gender, but I'm transitioning my life. So it's like it's really hard to look back while you're already in it. And so there'll be a point where I'm going to reach a new place in my life, and I feel like I'm in a new chapter. And then I can kind of actually look back and get all the information that I've collected and actually write a memoir. But I'm not really there yet. And also, why would anyone want to read about a nobody, you know? Like, why would people care about my life? Aww. People tend to like my writing. It's really hard for me to focus right now because I'm so stuck in this pain that's all I can think about, and most people don't seem to care about it. I know that you care about it, but I'm just saying most people don't, because they're just like, oh well, you know, this is just somebody complaining about their life. And I'm trying to figure out how to make it work for me, how to make my writing work. I really don't know how I'm gonna figure this out. I'm still like really scared for my life. Because I'm trying really hard, but I'm like not doing the right things. Or maybe I am, I don't know. I don't know, I'm building habits, I'm showing up, and I'm trying to be as consistent as I can. And I've been streaming for 3 hours. That's something, you know, that's as some people might not see that as a lot of work, but for me, that's something that is actually really difficult for me to do. I could have just stayed in bed. But instead I've been sitting here talking for 3 hours without stopping. I haven't stopped at all. I've been talking for 3 hours. Like, that's insane. But I was trying to get back to the point, and this is kind of why, I guess, and kind of what you told me. This woman I was trying to teach with, you know, when I like kind of just met her, and we're trying to like go through like the whole like, you know, getting to know each other as friends kind of thing. I sent her a video of me talking about like a lot, like similar stuff to this, like about my life, about like what it was like when I was younger. And interestingly enough, about coming out as trans. But at the time I had recloseted. I had thought that I wasn't trans. But, you know, I convinced myself that I could live my life as a man. It came crashing down after a number of years. I'm just really thankful that it came crashing down sooner than what it happens to a lot of people, where they feel social pressures and they feel like they can't transition because of the way society is, and then they end up being like in their 50s and 60s before they're ready to transition, and it's even harder for a lot of people. And so I'm glad that it happened when it did instead of later, but it came crashing down really hard. It came crashing down, and I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm still paying the price for it. But I had thought I had recloseted and pretended to be a man, and I was talking about that and stuff like that. I was talking about a lot of stuff, kind of what I do usually on my stream. I haven't really changed much. I've been like this since I was a little kid. What's changed is I know more about myself, and I know more about the world. That's what's changed. And my perspective has changed. And, I don't know. I sent that to her. It was an hour-long video, and she said it felt like it went by really fast because it seemed like I didn't even take a breath of air. And I think a lot of that is because I'm a musician and I'm a wind instrumentalist, and I think part of that is you learn how to like use your air more effectively. Because when you speak, a lot of people will speak from their throat or sing from their throat, and you really want to, you're really like, when you make sound, it's air coming up through your vocal tract, through your air tract and through your vocal folds and escaping. You're just shaping your mouth to let the air escaping make sounds. And a lot of people trying to make the sounds out of their throat like that. And you don't want to do that. You want to go like this and make, and you're not tightening your voice. You're not tightening. You're not creating the sound from here. That strains your voice and it causes injury. So you can actually talk and sing for a lot longer if you're just letting the air come out as if you're breathing. And as a vocal musician, like, you kind of notice that, like you can pull in air like really quickly. I've learned how to do that from a lifetime of performing on wind instruments. Aw. Well, I'm glad somebody gets value from my videos. It gives me a lot of hope. I try not to be negative, and I try not to be shouting or anything like that. Sometimes I do cry, but I try to get back on track. But I think I need to get to some writing, and I think 3 hours is enough of me talking nonstop. I think I do need to, take a bit of a break and then actually get to my writing. So it's like, I was working myself up to doing some writing. So, I'm gonna see you later. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're on YouTube, make sure to give me a like and subscribe. youtube.com/RebeccaLauren. Make sure to give me a follow on Twitter, at Rebecca Lauren. Oh, I moved that, but I should have moved it back. Let me move it back, okay? I'll do that after. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. And I really, I am doing exactly what I need to be doing, and just because results aren't happening doesn't mean that I'm doing the wrong things, and I need to stay the course. I need to keep trying. Like, I'm just kind of like trial and error, like what do I need to do, like how do I figure out how to create writing, how do I create YouTube videos. I'm doing this whole spitballing process, and this is a natural part of the process, and it's perfectly fine. And just because I don't see other people do it, they do it behind the scenes. And this is the way I know how to do it, because I don't have the kind of network where I can actually spitball with people, and this is how I spitball with people. I'm talking to you, literally. This is the behind the scenes stuff. The only difference is I'm doing it on scene. Like, this is the live content, is me doing the behind the scene content. And one day I hope to make actual content. I don't know. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye! Bye-bye! We're not starting soon. The heck? We're not starting soon at all! What are you doing this for? You guys still here? Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to give me a follow. At Rebecca Lauren. Twitch.tv/Rebecca Lauren. YouTube.com/Rebecca Lauren. TikTok.com just Google me. Okay? You don't need I don't need to advertise the links. Okay? Google my name, Rebecca Lauren, because that's my brand. Okay? Bye.